What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome, in fact, to the award-winning monthly comic book review. Today, we're going to be talking about our favorite comic books of May 2024. It's going to be a grand old time in the YouTube comic sphere tonight, including the great panel of average white males, usually around 30 to 40 years old, joining us tonight. Very diverse group. We got Nick from Comic Culture. What is up, my man?
What's going on, dude? Station. Glad to be here. Just a couple of white dudes, man, talking about some comics.
How about a trio? We got Eric from 9-Panel Grid. What is up, brother?
Not too much, man. I'm holding down the bald demographic here for you guys. So
there you go.
Oh, that is true. That is true. And really bringing the true beard into the conversation tonight is Bearded Comic Bro. What is up, homie?
What is up? And don't worry, I'm also with you on the ball demographic. So we're just we're your token cliche YouTubers right now.
Yeah. Speaking of token and cliche, it's Stu.
That's right. It's another one. Yep. Station guys. Good to see y'all this evening.
Adding on to each person. You got the beard now and Eric, then the bald, then the hat, then Stu has a hat. Like,
yeah, I dodged that
one. An amalgam of white guys. Yep.
Yeah. And another white guy, but we every show's got to, every once in a while we got to bring a resident member of not just the YouTube comic book community, but the comic book industry, right? So let's bring in our favorite naysayer. It's Joe Corello. What is up?
Thank you for having me, Robbie. I think it's so important that white men feel safe on YouTube, so I appreciate you creating a safe space for us.
I hope everybody gets the joke because we're not one of those channels.
Yeah.
All right. There might be some slight spoilage that slips out tonight, but nothing too serious. And if it is serious, it's going to get you more enticed to check out the book. But that's what we're going to be doing. Talking about our favorite books of the month out of everything that we read, that we discussed, that we dissected this month. Nick, kick us off. What's your pick of the week? And you out there in the chat, join along in the conversation.
My pick of the month.
What's your pick of the month?
So man, let's go ahead and get this one out of the way because I feel like we're gonna talk about it. We're talking about Patrick Horvath, man. We're talking about Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, the conclusion of his beautiful run. This is issue number 6. Now, I've read several horror style comics in my day, but like this is probably my favorite one I've ever read. The execution of it, the juxtaposition between the style of characters, the story that he's telling right here, and the pacing of it. It was absolutely perfect, I think, from start to finish. There was a great dip in like issue, what was it? Probably issue number 4. There was like this redemption, this like back to character moment in issue number 5. And then 6 totally paid off the entire series, I think, giving us these like brutal, like ruthless, like revenge story in this issue, and completely blew me away. I loved everything about this one from start to finish. Not a single wasted issue, not a single wasted page, I don't think. And just contender for comic of the year, to be honest with you. It's just so tight. It's so clean. It's so perfect. Issue number 6, Beneath the Trees. Starting off with that one tonight.
Yeah, I like that you said contender for the comic of the year, because last year when we were on Chris's show over at Lost in Comics to do our 2023 best of nomination show, this was only 2 issues in, and we're all like putting it on the list. We're all like, and I was like, I can't go too crazy, right? So I put it on like best new series or something like that, right? Gave Patrick Horvath some roses. I'm not familiar with any other work from this dude, but I want to be 100%. I know he's on Zoop right now. I think
he has Zoop. He has a story. He did the artwork for a story in Haha, one of those, and then he did a cover for Ice Cream Man, and that's like it. That's his comic credentials.
Didn't you have him on the channel?
You had a great interview with him, dude. That was really cool finding out how he named the title or the book after the Teddy Bear's Picnic song and stuff like that. I love finding out details like that. That was a great interview.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm loving this book, and after issue number 6, the final issue, I straight up was like, this right now, to me, we're not even halfway through 2024 yet, but right now, this is the best book of the year.
It's the book
in my opinion. I think it's pitch perfect. And we talk about the art and how cool it is, the juxtaposition of these like cute looking animals in this small town, but this like dark crime story, serial killer kind of vibe going on, right? It's a little bit of a character study into that, getting into the mind of a serial killer a little bit too. And I think that even if you took out the cute juxtaposition of the animals, it still works. It still works. Like if I don't know, like Jorge Fornes or Leonardo Romero or Michael Lark or anybody else, really, like a capable artist did this with real people, I think it would still work. But it adds a little bit of, it adds something to it. It adds an interesting spin. It adds an easy sell, like an easier sell, I should say, to like a fan if they're coming into your shop or something, right? This book, like you said, the structure was so perfect. It was a perfectly paced 6-issue series that I adored. So far, my favorite book of the year. What about you, Eric?
So I haven't read this issue in particular. I'm on my journey through it. I'm 3 issues through right now. And I mean, everything that you guys have said has been pitch perfect, though. Like, that's what I'm experiencing at the halfway point right now. So I can't wait to dig into this one, though.
Heck yeah. What about you, Greg? What are you thinking? I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you have someone, first off, I'm always blown away when you have a creator who can write and do art and the same, like, because that, like, it's just two very tough things to do. I can't do either. So like when they can blend both together, I mean, I remember going like, I love this series, and there was a part of me going, dear Lord, I hope he sticks the landing. Like, because how often do we have a series where like you have a great concept, you have a great idea, you know, like that first issue, like, oh, this is great, but then it doesn't get fleshed out, and you fleshed it out very well throughout 5. And I'm just like, but there still is that I'm nervous as a reader sometimes because it's something I love, and I'm like, I hope he sticks the landing. And in my mind, he stuck it, nailed it, perfect. Like, it's what I wanted as a reader. And overall, again, everything you guys have said, it is up there as the top book for me right now of 2024.
Wow. High praise so far from the panel. What about you, Stu?
I'm right there with y'all, man. It's definitely my top book for the year so far. I think I brought up issue 4 last time I was on the show, and this was like Greg said, like, he stuck the landing. This was great. I love seeing Sam kind of like in action. We've seen like glimpses of her before, but just seeing how she set all this up, and not to spoil anything, but just how it all went down, I thought was brilliant, and it was everything you wanted. It was shocking and horrific, and you know, just so well done. I thought it checked all the boxes. I agree with you, Robbie, about, I feel like you're very invested in these characters and these their tendencies and where the story's going. I think that novelty of it being, you know, centered around Richard Scarrier, all that kind of wears it. It's there with you in that first issue, and I think that's really what helped kind of pushes that book, you know, off the coast and gets it going, and you know, gets it going and the story out there and kind of really hooks you in. But I think, yeah, like from there, you're just really invested in Sam and, you know, the mystery and what's going on. But I was not like nervous or doubting Horvath or anything with issue 5, but I was kind of wondering where it was going to go and how it was all going to wrap up. And this was just so well done. I love the final confrontation and how it went down.
Well, well said. Well said. What about you, Joe? Did you check this one out?
Yeah, no, I liked it. I'm a little hesitant to start throwing around best book of the year in May. We could be a little bit of wet blanket
this
here.
This is Comics YouTube, Joe. This is what we do.
It sounds to me like I'm on a whole panel of people that haven't been reading Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
I have not been reading it. You are correct.
Wow,
Really, no. It's a very, very good, enjoyable comic. It's breezy for all the murder and gore in it, but yeah, no, it's very good. And I do appreciate that stuff and the style and everything. It feels like we're getting a little inundated with, you know, the Tony Fleeksification of horror, like cute animal horror. Like we're hitting a saturation point on that. It was like a niche idea, and like what is it? And I'm not saying any of it's bad. I'm enjoying it. I like what Tony Fleeks does. I like what James Asmus does with that like Sesame Street parody thing over at Dark Horse. But the fact that I can name 3 fucking things like that are so niche. Like this is incredibly niche, and it's like, well, which incredibly niche thing do you want? This one, this or that? It's a little worrisome, but
Yeah.
but it's good. But I'm a little concerned that we're going to be beating this into the ground until we all hate it, because that's what seems to happen. Everyone just jumps on that bandwagon, and then we're all miserable and hate ourselves for, God forbid, liking something for a minute. So
Yeah.
I feel like we're going down that direction.
Oh,
But
we totally are, bro. This is the comic industry.
Yeah. If one more book comes out about an imagination land that layers on top of reality, I'm going to lose my shit. Because we have probably like 4 books.
Are you telling me that if that happens, that you hate Fairyland?
Eric is
now
very
about that.
closely rethinking his. He's like, oh shoot, I'm gonna put my issue of Feral number 3 back in the box now.
It's pushing that right off the edge of the desk.
Now, guys, get ready for my gritty horror crime noir. Who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? Come on, we're gonna do this shit because that's all the kids are fucking doing now. I guess.
You see, my whole plan was Muppet Babies meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
There you
Well,
go.
that's I
It's
kind of
white noise now.
It's kind of percolating in the background.
I kind of want to see who stole the cookie from the cookie jar, though. Now,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I know you don't want to be
you will.
death, but I'm here for it.
Maybe you will. It might happen.
Yeah, Joe's working on it. All right, Eric, what about you? What's your pick of the month?
All right. So I'll try to stay on theme a little bit here, and I'll stick with a furry animal, but I'm going to go with Bear Pirate Viking Queen. This book just blew me away for like all the reasons I wasn't expecting. I've never heard of the artist before here. What's it, Jonathan Marks? I've never seen any work that he had done, and I've recently found out that he was working with Monty Keene, doing some other stuff in some like mini comics. But this was just a surreal mind trip of a comic. I can't even tell you if I know exactly what happened beyond the very simplistic naval officer becomes a pirate, maybe has a bear, conscious, subconscious, guide along with him. I don't know, but I do know that like I'm definitely along for the ride for all of this, and I really want to see where it goes because it was just the artwork was like Sergio Topi. There was a little bit of Sienkiewicz in there. I don't know. I just really appreciated the approach of the book, and I like something that's going to go outside of the normal aesthetics that we get from just panel by panel.
Yeah, I like Sean Lewis, and when Sean Lewis is paired up with a really great artist like Hayden Sherman, for instance, they do amazing work, right? Like The Few and Thumbs, for instance, and Above Snakes. Hayden and Sean, freaking fantastic. Then I've read other things from Sean that I thought was just okay. If this was a different artist, I think this story would just be okay. But that art, man, you mentioned exactly the artist that came to my head when I first looked at it, Bill Sienkiewicz.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely insane. And it's obviously influenced by Sienkiewicz, but it's different. It's not like a rip off of his style or anything like that, but it's kind of got that scratchy, gritty, guttural, visceral feel to it. I was mesmerized by the artwork in this book. What do you think, Bearded?
I don't know. I'm being honest. Like, this is one of those, I feel like I need to reread it again. I either need to read it a little buzzed to enjoy it. Like the art is fantastic. I was very much confused trying to figure out what's going on and trying to pace it together. I think I need another issue to kind of help me like figure out, which is weird to say because it was an oversized issue, or it felt very oversized, but I still don't know what's going on. And so I don't know, I don't know if I love it. I don't know if I hate it. I'm kind of just like, I think I like it. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and it's very valid because I kind of felt the same way because I didn't completely click with the story. And then on the weekly comic book review, I'm mentioning that. And as I'm trying to explain the story, then I'm like, actually, that seems rather simple. But I was like, it was the art that mesmerized me. What about you, Stu? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I've tried to read it twice now, and I've not been able to get through it. Again, the art is incredible. I completely agree what you guys are saying on the Sienkiewicz reference and stuff like that. But this one, like, I just don't know what's going on, and it's like I don't know. I'm maybe with Greg, maybe another issue. I'll definitely come around for issue 2 just based on the artwork alone. Like I said, but the story is just, I don't know. It was just too murky for me, and I could not follow what was going on or where we were going. I was frustrated reading it. So yeah, I think I need maybe come back with it in a different state of mind, like Greg said, and see what happens.
Next issue is out this upcoming Wednesday. In fact, this Wednesday is stacked, y'all. We got Precious Metal. We got Ultimates by Dennis Camp. We've got so much cool stuff, including also Scarlet. So I got my Scarlet in the living room right now. I'm going to read it probably after both shows tonight. So what about you, Joe? Did you check this one out?
Yeah, our art's great. I love some of the layouts here. Don't care about the story. Feel like someone needed to, it feels, and this isn't something that's unique to this comic. This is going on in a lot of media. It feels like everyone's trying to do something, not everyone, but like there are people that are trying to do something interesting. And it's like, as a result, people are forgetting like what works and doesn't work. And this just happened with Doctor Who last week with 73, which was another story of something where it was like, we're going to tell a story, and if you get it, cool. If not, we don't really care. And I'm a very character focused person when it comes to what I enjoy. And this didn't really do a lot for me in terms of creating or having characters that I care about yet. And maybe that'll change, but in a market where there's like 600 floppies a month, like maybe get me to care about those people sooner. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, especially with the page count on the issue, right? You figured like, and maybe that is the disconnect. I like that you said that. The disconnect was I wasn't connected to any character in there. I'm confused by the bear stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I liked it. It was decent, but honestly, I can't. Like right now, I cannot recall the story, to be honest with you. Right?
It's lot like people looking in directions and waxing poetic about who cares, and then bear, and then ship, and then the French, they said tempest, blah, 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 and then a storm, and then a bear again, and then a guy with a beard, and then it's like, you don't know how unforgiving the sea is, bear. And it's over, and you're like,
yep. That'll be $6
right here.
All right, sure.
That sounded like Bueller reviewing a book almost that he never read.
Bueller would have been like, "Oh no, I enjoyed it. It was fine.
The part where the bear was driving the ship was
a
awesome.
Viking and a queen in it."
Yeah, I just hope the bear steals cookies from the cookie jar.
It's the weirdest menage you've ever seen, man.
What are you thinking about it, Nick?
I really, really love the art. I'll echo everything you guys said about the ambiguity of the story and everything. I think I mean, it's got to be just layered and layered in metaphor, right? That's the only thing I can think of, because it wasn't exactly clear. It wasn't exactly clear to me how he went from like Royal Navy to pirate. There was some kind of like betrayal or something like that, and then he assumed this new role and he got his own crew and he started living that lifestyle. But with that came like this heaviness or whatever, this dread, this animal inside, something like that. And he's just trying to fight those demons. I think it's just layers and layers of hard to decipher metaphor, right? And I think that's a cool thing to write about. You just have to make it a little bit more obvious, I think, so it connects on all the levels. And then, like you said, you got to make the character someone that you really care about and you want to see succeed or do whatever they need to do. And he's just kind of like living the pirate life right now, getting attacked by a barbarian. So I'm with it. I'm going to check out the next issue for sure, because it's freaking beautiful. And I want to see if this story develops and turns into something that we're just not quite, we haven't been given enough material to figure out yet. I think that might be another thing. So it was definitely a beautiful book though.
Yeah, it was, and to me, right now, worth it just on the art alone. Like, I mean, I get what Joe's saying, and I'm the same way. Like, but I go back and forth. Like, there's some books I love because of the character work. There's some books I love just because I think badass stuff happens in the book. Then there's some things that I love just because of the artwork, right? Yeah. You know, like with A Straight Face, I can tell you that I like Rob Liefeld's Captain America. You know, so like there's certain elements to it. So for me though, it's heavy on the art. Eric, do you want a final thought since everybody kind of shit on your pick, buddy? I feel bad. This is your second show.
Yeah, no, yeah, I come right out of the gates with a banger. Yeah, no, the thing is, none of you guys are wrong though, but I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, is that it was so outside of the norm of, like, I'm looking over the books that were other contenders that I could have picked, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, Avengers, okay, yeah, like I know what I'm getting with a lot of these, and I absolutely don't know what I'm getting with this, and it's kind of exciting, encouraging. So, but nothing what you guys said was incorrect by any means. I totally agree with everything you guys said.
Yeah, I dig exactly what you're saying there, man. 100%. All right, what about you, Greg? What's your pick of the month?
Listen, Eric, they usually do this to me, so you're just lucky that you went before me.
You bring Nightwing up, I swear to God.
No, but you know what? Because you all are some indie shills, I will throw out a DC book for my one of my picks of the month. I absolutely adored The Batman First Night by Dan Jurgens and Mike Perkins. You want to talk about artwork? Good golly, I will read anything that Mike Perkins does art for, because that was beautiful. Everything was great. The character, the expressions on the people's faces. This just felt like a well-polished comic to me. It feels like people that have been in the industry, that understand the tropes or things that you need to do to make a comic work, and it worked for me. You know, Dan Jurgens is, you know, has so much great books out there, and then, you know, Mike Spicer on the colors, who's usually tied with, you know, Daniel Warren Johnson. Like, it was just, I'm a sucker for a good, like, throwback kind of story. You have the year one type Batman. He's Batman with the purple gloves. Like, let's go. Like, you know, that's a good Batman. And he's processing, like, he's dealing with things of, like, do I use guns to fight these, you know, bad guys and things like this. The stuff that, like, is stuff you've seen. It's not anything new in a Batman story, but it felt comfortable, something that I could dig into and just sink myself into and go, I relate to this. I understand where it is. But the artwork was, you know, the artwork sealed the deal for me, and it just felt like a well-told tight story through these 3 oversized issues.
Yeah.
I loved Mike Perkins' artwork. I adored Mike Spicer's coloring. I thought the covers were amazing and some of the best covers of the year so far. I never connected with the story. I never really liked it that much. Like, I don't know what it is with y'all today and this fucking purple gloves Batman bullshit, but like to me, that's not cool. Like, I don't understand. Like, Greg Capullo, maybe purple gloves Batman's okay under him, but I don't know. I don't know. I never really connected with it. To me, it was like, been there, done that, and just an excuse for Dan Jurgens to finally use the word fuck in a comic script. But that's just me. I don't know. That's just me. What do you think, Stu? Speaking of purple gloves, you're probably wearing them right now on your feet. Those aren't gloves. Those are socks. Anyway, moving on.
I liked it enough. I thought the artwork was fantastic. I thought I liked the ending of issues 1 and 2. 3 was okay. The last book was okay for me, but I don't know. There were, like, I liked how he used the rabbi and, like, the current events, and earlier in the book, it kind of felt like he was trying to bookend it there in issue 3. But all in all, I thought it was a cool Elseworld story, and definitely worth picking up. I enjoyed it, and I'd recommend it as a collector read. I thought, and again, Mike Perkins' artwork is for sure worth the look. But I like the design on the Batman. Purple gloves or no purple gloves, I like the way he looked. He looked cool to me.
Them dumbass fucking ears too. I hate that shit. I don't know what it is, man. I just hate it. What about you, Joe? What'd you think?
It's definitely a gorgeous book. I'm very well versed in Batman. I have my own sort of ideas on what I would do in a situation like that. There wasn't a lot of overlap with what was going on there in this book. I mean, using Julie was good. There were a few other things I really liked, but and again, like I'd certainly if you love these sort of, like, you know, early Batman stories or like a period piece, it's something I wish they do like a little bit more of, because I do enjoy Batman in different periods. I think Batman works a lot better like pre-computers and cell phones and things like that.
Yeah, agreed.
There's just something I think a lot more interesting about him, or the potential of it. But like, there's moments in this that get a little like, there's just a little too much of like the references to remind you what year. Like, oh, we're gonna go see Wizard of Oz. I hear it's in color. I mean, I was waiting for some guy to be like, I sure hope the Dodgers don't leave Brooklyn. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like,
that's what
stuff like that.
felt
That
forced.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, don't do that. Just chill with it, you know, because there was it's like some of that's fine. I feel like clip a couple of those, like 2 or 3 of those references, I think it would have smoothed it over a little bit more. And oh my God, could I go the rest of my life without another Batman story that's not like, I trust Gordon, but there's a lot of crooked cops in the department. It's like, again, it's like Frank Miller does it, and now it's forever. Like, and they touched on it in like the Jerry Conway run and a few other times with like corruption within like the Gotham government or like the police department. And like, I get that's like a real issue. That's good. You can pull things from the headlines or whatever, but like, I would love not even broaching that topic anymore for a little bit. Like, just take that off the table for a while. We don't need to do that.
Okay. I got you. What about you, Nick? What are you thinking?
I liked it. I don't. Art is spectacular, right? Like we've already covered that. From a story perspective, I didn't really dig the zombie approach in the very beginning of it, like the undead army. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was a weird twist, although it kind of adds a little bit of flavor to like the time period. So it's like, what are you going to do? Just fight goons? It's like, well, yeah, you're in that time period and you're Batman. There's no technology. And like, that's what crime was back then. So maybe go in that direction, but adding that horror element spiced it up a little bit. I didn't like it in the first issue. I dug it the second issue, and I liked kind of how it ended, I suppose. And I like the ancillary characters too. You know, I think they all played a cool role. They all gave, you know, someone that, you know, Batman can bounce things off of, and Bruce to have a relationship. And I kind of dug that. It was kind of soap opera-y in that way as well. So I actually liked it a lot. I think I would highly recommend the story to anybody that's digging Batman. And Batman's such an interesting character because it's like, Jesus, how many times can we reinvent this guy and take him back to year one, or put him in a different setting? Like Joe, you were saying, like different time period. You put him in space, you put him in freaking noir, you put him over here. And it's always an interesting take, and it sells like crazy. So there's something about the character that's just remarkable. And they just paired it with a great art team. So like I'd recommend it for sure. Yeah. It was on my list of like top 10 of the month for sure.
Yeah.
So
I do hope that's like the pull quote on the back of the graphic novel is like, I like the ending, I guess.
Dan, you could have that one, Jurgens, man. You can put that on the
I'm emailing Dan Jurgens right now.
I like the ending, I guess.
What about you, Eric?
I enjoyed it. Like, I mean, I think you guys hit the nail on the head for the most part with all this stuff. Perkins' artwork was fantastic as always. I think I was maybe a little bit more forgiving because, like, in a world where we see writers kind of age out of comic books more often than not, we don't get a lot of like Mark Waid type of people. I kind of knew what I was getting into with Dan Jurgens, so like it was forgivable to me. I just don't think it was the best Batman book that's came out this month in the sea of Batman books that we have. So, but I mean, I would still recommend it. I think it was like a perfectly enjoyable book.
For sure.
See, Greg, not everybody shit on that.
Listen, I know going into it, Batman's a controversial topic, right? Like, because you could also say any Batman book.
We're gonna get letters, y'all. We're talking about Batman again on the channel.
You're like, like if they threw in Joker there, everyone would be like, oh, we've had enough Joker. Like, there's always going to be hot takes on Batman, right? There's always going to be, for me, in a sea of Batman books where we've gotten a lot. You know, with Detective Comics, Rom's doing his own stuff right now. Chip's doing something. You know, out there as well with Batman. This felt like a Batman story that I grew up reading, and that's I think why I loved it a little bit more than what we're getting. It felt like home to me as someone who was a diehard Batman fanatic. Like, you know, so that's why. Like, was it the best Batman story ever? No, but is it one probably that I enjoyed the most out of the month? Probably.
Yeah, it brings you back home to when you were a kid reading Batman with purple gloves back in 1939, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly. So Robbie's hung up on the purple gloves.
He's really is, yeah.
Everybody at the shop says that. They're like, no, man, this book's great. He's got purple gloves. I'm like, that's your fucking reason? Because he's got purple gloves? I'm not talking about you, Greg, but you did mention it. Yeah, but
I did like them. I like the purple gloves. It's a throwback.
How many shades of purple did Spicer go through before he like landed?
I mean, look, I got a purple shirt on.
That
it has a purple lights on background. Like, just because you have to stick with the blues there, Robbie.
Yeah.
If they were blue gloves, it'd be different.
I would say though, you know, I do get it from an extent too of like being like, they gotta, you know, revamp Batman, do something different, and then it's like, here's something that's a little different. I didn't mean like that. You know, I get that. That's also a thing. It's like try to like, you know, ride that line a bit better too. But
you're damned if you do. Damned.
When you pointed out the fact that I didn't even realize this, but you know, there is no Joker in this series, right? If I remember, there's
no villain. There's no villain that you know.
That's actually kind of. I would give Dan Jurgens credit for that, because anybody else would be like, what would the 1939 Joker be like? What would the 1939 Clayface be like?
I want to deflate this slightly. I do want to say that this is just a variation of Hugo Strange's like Zombie Man. It's just that, and Hugo Strange.
There's no Hugo Strange in it.
Yeah, there's no Hugo Strange,
but it is Hugo Strange's story.
Yeah, but these were villains from like 1939, so like he is still pulling from that. But I appreciated that. I'm like, oh, he's sticking to a lot of these elements from within like the first year and change of Batman, and not going to you know, Joker or some of these other more iconic characters, and using Julie, who I believe was the first love interest. So like things like that I really liked about this story.
She was also the love interest in Batman and Robin. So that should seal the deal for you as well.
Oh, I mean, sure.
You talking about the Ella Fitzgerald character?
You know, who doesn't love that? I feel like that's you know, it's like I've got McGregor syndrome all over again, you know.
You and Alfred.
Bearded, have you read like the Matt Wagner stuff he did? That's kind of from that in that time era. Okay. I really do like that stuff, but I'm more of a mark for Matt Wagner just in general.
Would I get that for sure?
Yeah. What about you, Stu? Pick of the month.
All right, so many great books this month.
Harley Quinn, Doom. It's probably Doom.
It is Doom. God damn it! What the?
Just kind of like
still upset about the purple gloves. So yeah, this definitely like, you know, one book that I was looking to way more than the rest, and Doom #1, the giant size one shot from Sanford Green and Jonathan Hickman really checked all the boxes for me. This was not, you know, a super complicated deep story. It was fairly straightforward. Galactus basically fell victim to the hunger and, you know, consumed everything, and a last ditch effort, Doom kind of formed like this mecha Titan Doom and tried to fight him and lost. And we kind of pick up the story with Valeria fetching him his you know, battered body from deep space, and we kind of go from there as she helps him get back on his feet. But I love the artwork throughout. Sanford Green just swung for the fences on every page. Really didn't take a page off at all. I mean, every page is just beautiful. So many brilliant covers from Rachel Rosenberg. I thought, you know, choosing to have Valeria as the counterpart to Doom in the story, that's obviously like one of the best relationships he has, you know, the Uncle Doom dynamic, and just how they operated on that emotion, you know, especially towards the end, I thought was beautiful. And you know, this was Sanford Green's baby. He kind of nursed this story. He had it in his head for a long while, and I think Hickman helped him in all the right places. It's kind of seamless. You don't know what's Sanford and what's Jonathan, but I just love how, you know, Hickman just kind of let him get out of the way and let the art really just do the job. And did it ever. So this one was incredible to me, man. I had such high expectations for this book, and it really just knocked them all out of the park. So highly recommend. Doom.
Yeah, I really like the book too. Obviously, like you, I'm a big fan of Victor. He's one of my favorite characters, period, across all fiction, right? And I thought this was a really great look at him. From what I gathered, this is Sanford Green's project pretty much, right? And then Hickman came in to kind of help flesh it out and do the script. So at first I was like, this isn't as Hickman-y as maybe I was expecting it to be. But at the same time, it was really good. It was a great one-shot, a great sell. The whole point of the issue is not to set something up, is not to pay something off. The whole point of the issue is to celebrate 50 years of Dr. Doom's existence, right? For fans. It's to give fans a Doom book with great fucking artwork. Sanford Green, not only is a great artist, such a cool dude. Like, giant, just freaking awesome dude. Like, every time I've met him, every time I've interacted with him, whether it's on the con floor or at the bar, he's just super freaking awesome. And I love that it kind of works a little bit as like a coda to Hickman's work on Doom and Val in his FF series, right? It kind of works a little bit as a coda to that. And I did appreciate that. What about you, Joe? Did you check out Doom?
I did. I liked it a lot. I don't think Hickman was the right person to flesh this out with Sanford Green. They don't mesh that well, and it felt awkward at points. Like, it wasn't meshing. Like, I felt like the story and the art weren't gelling at multiple points throughout. And I kind of wish that Sanford Green was working with a different writer that would have fit the sensibilities more, because there were multiple moments where I'm like, ooh, this, like, it kind of pulled me out because I didn't think it was smoothed over well enough. But overall, I enjoyed it a lot. But like, having like Valeria, like having that kind of dialogue drawn like that from Hickman, I was like, this doesn't feel right to me. Like, it didn't work for, like, if this was, you know, again, like if this was like one of these other artists that, you know, he had been working with that are a little more I guess maybe a little more realistic or something like that. I think Hickman's writing would have worked really well here. I think this would have elevated Sanford Green to have a different writer on it.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. One character I love with purple gloves is Galactus. So,
yes,
you know, Galactus is in there. And I'm kind of with Bearded. If Doom was wearing purple gloves, that would be pretty cool too.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think so.
And one of my favorite things about the Doom book is I ordered a lot of them for my shop. And after like the first couple days, I was like, oh man, I think I fucked up. I think I over-ordered Doom.
Oh, really?
Fuck, we're going to be stuck with these, right? And then the next week, they're like $20-something, $40, $50 on eBay. And I'm like, yes, greatest decision this year so far.
Amazing.
Anyway, what about you, Nick? What'd you think of D-O-O-M? I almost said D-O-O Doom, but that would have been wrong. Sorry.
That'd be Dom, right?
Dom.
Well, Dom. I loved it. I love the book. I mean, you know, I read it twice. The first time I read it, I was like, wait, it's over. What do you mean? And then like I had to sit there for a minute and remind myself, like, this is a celebration kind of an issue. I didn't need an ending necessarily to it. I just needed to see no matter what is happening, if he has breath left, he will fight for his morals and his principles and his, you know, the way that he always has. And I think it's a great celebration that against all odds, it doesn't matter what's happened or what his adversary is, he's going to put everything into it. And he's drawing on that relationship, you know, it's that family relationship and everything. So it's like, I thought it was great. I thought it was a great, like, resurrection, rebirth, repowered, and I'm going to go right back at it. I'm going to just hit that stone again and just see what happens. Right. And I loved it. I loved everything that was drawn. I liked the composition. I liked the story that led up into it. I didn't need a whole lot of backstory. I didn't need to know how Doom got to the initial position. I don't need to know the ending of the battle. I thought it was great. It was a great celebration. And I just love the one shot. I do see your point about Hickman, that interesting pairing between them, because Hickman's usually, from what I've read from him, he writes these giant epics, right? And they're peppered with moments of just like hair raising like chilling moments, you know. This entire book was that essentially, and we didn't have that roller coaster ride to get to those moments. It was just like pedal to the metal as soon as you were there, and it was like a very specific style of Hickman that we typically see every couple of issues, that's peppered in with some character development and some story drama and stuff like that. This was just balls to the wall the whole time, and I was there for it. So yeah, great book.
You know, Hickman's doing a lot of work now at Marvel, right? You know, a lot of with things that don't seem like Hickman projects, like Aliens versus Avengers, you know, and stuff like that. And it's very curious. And I'm wondering if Marvel's like, Jonathan, you were right about X-Men. We fucking dropped the ball. Like, we're sorry. We're going to up your page rate. Like, will you please come back and do some stuff for you? Hell, just script this fucking thing and we'll give you like 10K or something. I don't fucking know, man. But it seems a little weird. It's interesting though. But I hope so. Comic industry, so.
But the lineup we know coming is like not suggesting that
Wolverine
at all.
book with Greg Capullo is like not something I would think Jonathan Hickman would do. Or isn't it? Maybe it's going to be. I'm very curious to see what that one's going to fucking be, man. 100%. What about you, Eric? What do you think of Doom?
I loved this book, and kind of I don't know. Like, I thought the pairing actually worked really well, and I thought that it gave a lot of vibes to what he was, Jonathan Hickman specifically, his pairing with Nick Dragato when he was doing FF and when he was doing East of West. Like, that style definitely totally not realistic. It was really stylized and bombastic, and I thought the pairing fit really, really well together. And I don't know, maybe it's my ignorance to FF. I feel like I've done enough homework. I've read a lot about it, but the ending of this book, did you guys not get a sense like he was setting something up, him being either one of them, I guess, but with the ultimate nullifier, the rebirth of a universe catalyst? Is that something new, or is that something that has been developed? Because I took it as something completely new, and I thought maybe this was the seed being planted for something that could happen maybe years down the road that he comes back to.
I'm not sure. That's curious though, because Sanford Green, I heard him say in an interview, I think on Word Balloon or something like that, that there were initially that like Hickman was tying this into the Marvel universe in some type of way, but I didn't see it in the book. But I can see kind of glimpses of what you're saying there with what Galactus discovered at the end. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reread it a little bit because I don't really recall that ending.
Yeah, long story short, I enjoyed the heck out of the book, though. I thought the pairing worked really, really well together, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You don't feel bad to say that. You can disagree with Joe. Most of us do. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, no, it's only one person can be right. That's how it goes.
I'm just excited to hear Joe actually have to pick a book this time.
Yeah.
I've got picks.
What about you, Bearded? What did you think of Doom? Did you read it?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Okay.
It's Jonathan Hickman. I don't read Jonathan Hickman books.
No. What the fuck?
Is it an education level thing, or is it?
I don't understand.
No, I knew it was going to come up on the show, and I was like, I went to a shop today. I was like, if they have it, I'll pick it up. If they don't, it's not meant to be. It wasn't meant to be.
No, because it was $20 by Saturday
on the aftermarket right now. So
yeah.
I think I don't know if they've announced it, but there should be a second printing, I'm sure, coming.
Hopefully.
Because what kind of weird stretch you got to do?
Are you guys going to talk about the second printing next month?
That's not a bad idea.
That's up to Stu.
We'll see what the cover looks like.
If you talk about the second printing next month, maybe I'll read it, but otherwise...
Could be in a rapid fire.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Aside from Nick, everybody's a little shaky on everybody's picks here, man. Let's see what happens here. Joe, what would be your pick of the month?
Yeah, I'm doing something a little out of left field here because I feel like one thing, like, first off, it was Free Comic Book Day this month, and there were some really great offerings, and I'm gonna highlight Flash Gordon #0. That was a full 22-page story for free. You got a 22-page Jeremy Adams comic for free. That's crazy. I don't understand why. Like, I know it's gotten some coverage, but it's crazy to me that hasn't been talked about like even more, and that there's such a great hook at the end of the issue. You know, I don't necessarily want to get into spoilers, but like it sets up like a pretty exciting status quo for a series. What was it? So Will Conrad's art's very good
So good.
throughout that. Some of the like the redesigns of some of the characters, like Ming, very like little references to things like the movie, like beating around this idea of like Gordon's alive and stuff like just it was just done so well. And with all of this like love and care for a full-sized comic offering. Like most places aren't doing that at this point. Like a lot of them, maybe you'll get 10 pages of new material, or it's a sneak peek of a few different things. But this was a full-on, full issue for free with a talented team setting up an exciting status quo. I had to pick it.
I really liked the Flash Gordon Free Comic Book Day. Like, I thought it was a really great issue. My experience with Flash Gordon is the character of Axel Bronze from Planetary and the movie. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, like I've never really gotten in any old school Flash or anything new school. Like, and I'm really glad that Mad Cave is like going to be doing some, they're doing like the old school stuff, right? They're doing some really nice collections and additions, and they're putting Defenders of the Earth out.
Defenders.
Yeah. So I'm really pumped for that. I loved, I thought it was a rather shocking and bold new status quo, right?
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. Like, wow. Like the hero kind of fucks up and like really everything is fucked, dude.
They really go for it. Like that was crazy.
My big thing is I think it didn't get as much momentum as it deserves because I think a lot of the current comic book audience may not really be into Flash Gordon so much. So maybe you should call your dudes over at Mad Cave and suggest purple gloves to Flash Gordon, and it could really
work.
Push that one over, I think. Nick, what did you think about this? And I love that you picked a Free Comic Book Day issue.
Nick.
Yeah, good pick. I have not read it though. Have not read it. So I might need to move it back up in my stack. Free Comic Book Day books, like Joe, to your point, like a lot of times they're just previews of just random crap that you're going to see
used
eventually.
To them being bullshit, so
you're
didn't
used
read
to them
right?
just being filled with fucking ads and just like 4 different stories and they're all crap, and it's just and so I grabbed like one of everything off the shelf and took it home, and like I prioritized a few, like the top 3 that I was really excited for, and it didn't make the cut. But since you sang such high praises, I got to go check it out. So I appreciate that. I didn't realize it was a full issue and such a creative team. So yeah, that's a good rationale right there for sure.
What about you, E? Did you check it out? It was free.
Yeah, it's free, but like I tried my best actually to steer clear of that because I feel like Free Comic Book Day is enticing new people to come into the shop. So I try to be like, all right, y'all get your free comics. So I didn't read this one.
What?
Oh no,
I don't think Eric understands Free Comic Book Day. It does not bring new people into the shop.
Well, isn't that the whole purpose? I already got a pull list. You don't need me.
See, Free Comic Book Day to me is like the Easter of the comic book industry. It's like customers that I don't see but once or twice a year. Yeah. That's the day I see them. I'm like, oh, hey, brother Patrick, are you rededicating? You're going to pick up your 8 months of fucking pool stuck us with, that kind of thing. But no, I get what you're saying. What about you, Greg? Did you check it out? It was free.
Oh, heck yeah, I did. I did check it out. I did post about it that I loved it. So it is getting some press. The 8 people that liked my posts saw it and said like, okay, I'm in on it. I mean, it was nice. It was refreshing to get a full story. I had been waiting since Mad Cave had gotten the Flash Gordon, license to make, like, I was like, I felt like they were going to get Defenders. And then they announced it in the back of that. They're doing the trade of Defenders. The single issues, the 8-issue series is coming out now. It's on previews. Dan DiDio is writing Defenders of the Earth. Like I loved Phantom as a kid. I fell into Defenders of the Earth because of the Billy Zane movie. Probably not the best way to fall into it, but I have a love for nostalgia. It's because he's purple. Let's just keep on brand tonight. To get some Defenders, we're, comic industry right now is full in nostalgia mode, right? We've got Space Ghost, we've got Thundercats and G.I. Joes and Transformers that, like, man, Defenders of the Earth needed some love. So I'm glad that they are.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing the same with Dick Tracy over at Mad Cave. There's the nostalgia coming. I love Flash Gordon. I don't know personally a lot about Flash Gordon. I mean, I literally just bought Flash Gordon movie, the Sam Jones, so I could watch it on Blu-ray, so I can be a part of the culture. You know, so like I thought it was a well done story, well crafted. Jeremy Adams, right? Like Joe said, you're getting a full issue of a comic. It's, you know, and the ads for the stuff was at the end. This was you want to read it before you pick up the series, and I think that is one that I highly recommend. So yeah, Jeremy Adams, Will Conrad on the art was fantastic.
Yeah, I loved it. I changed my background to purple just for you, Greg.
Thank you.
All right, Stu, what about Flash Gordon? Did you check it out?
No, I have not read it. I went to my shop. My shop unfortunately had a four comic limit on Free Comic Book Day, so this one didn't make the cut. Unfortunately, I guess it should have. I love Jeremy. I am. They let me have. I got 5 because they showed some love, but you know, it is what it is, man.
Get the fuck out of here. That's some
bullshit. Dude, that's why you need to go Free Comic Book Day with your wife and your kids, because they all get free. So I literally got 20 books at free shop.
You're regular, and you have a poll, and you can only get 4. That's pretty. Shitty.
But yeah, there's 2 other shops in the area, and they both have the same thing. They both have a limit, because I remember going to another one for Free Comic Book Day, I think last year.
Why don't you go to all of them?
I'm not that. It's not that serious. Like, I can't. It's like the distance between is a good 45, 50 minutes between shops.
Whatever, man. Nick, and Eric are letting Joe down right now, man.
I got work on Saturday.
I'm gonna step in then, Robbie. We treat Free Comic Book Day like it's Easter in this house. We go to like 4 different shops. The whole family comes. They all get their 3 books. The girls get to pick out what they want to start, and then when they are about to start to repeat, then I get the ones that I couldn't get. And it's a beautiful thing. Nice. Do you go out to eat afterwards too, and then make fun, or then like judge all the servers for working on Free Comic Book Day? Yes, I do. It's just like Easter for us. Oh, it's perfect. We're all decked out in our fancy comic book attire. Did you take fucking photos and shit? Yeah, we did, because our shop had photo booths and things like that. Heck yeah, we did. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Hell yeah. All right, Nick, Eric, Stu, that's how you fucking do it. Okay. So next year,
sorry to let you down, bro.
Show, we expect a little bit difference, because I am also picking a Free Comic Book Day issue for my pick of the month. And mine is no surprise to anybody. It's the Energon Universe Special, a book that was free unless you waited 2 weeks and your shop was out of the free one. And then you had to pay for it for a Daniel Warren Johnson cover. But we still, I mean, I ordered so heavy on the Free Comic Book Day. We still got them. We're still giving away because it's breaking people into this. Is Eric, you're kind of right. It is like, it's not necessarily about new readers as in, hey, what's a comic shop? Holy shit, let me check out this industry. But it does get people going, what do you promised me Transformers and G.I. Joe's good right now? I'm like, check this one out. You know, and this book nailed what Free Comic Book Day was to me, right? It was a familiar product that a lot of people who missed out on the idea that there was the Energon universe, they had the opportunity to come in. I had the opportunity to throw a book their way, knowing that they're an old school Transformers fan or a Joe head or a Kirkman head or something. And maybe they have like fond memories of Joe and Transformers. And it perfectly got new readers and those who had been following the Energon universe incredibly excited for year 2, right? The G.I. Joe story, amazing dynamic artwork from Jason Howard on the G.I. Joe story. Josh Williamson killed it there, setting up the fact that there's 2 G.I. Joe teams. There may even be 2 books that Josh is working on. So that was really exciting. Void Rivals, once again, doubling down on the connection to the Transformers universe by introducing Hot Rod into the mix. And then in its newest issue this month, we get Springer introduced, right? So that throws a lot of intricacies to the connection between Void Rivals and the rest. But honestly, it's worth it alone for me for the incredible Ryan Ottley grabbing his Megatron, grabbing his Optimus Prime, and just smashing them together. The artwork in that first story, first of all, we've all been itching to know what's up with Megatron. We've gotten some glimpses here. We get some clues there, but to actually see how it went down, what happened during his captivity and how he escapes and his vengeance, his hard on he has right now for taking Starscream's head. Like, I am here for it. And Ryan Ottley, a solid artist. He is. But one of the things I love so much about the Daniel Warren Johnson Transformers book is that his artistic influence is going to the other artists, right? Jorge Corona, his Transformers work, you can tell it's Corona. It is Corona. It's his style, but there's an energy that's Johnson. Same thing with the Ryan Ottley stuff in the Energon special. It blew my mind. All I have to do is show the double page spread of them two just leaping at each other with the anime speed lines and all that.
Oh my God,
people
dude,
are just
so good.
into it, man. Into it. So absolutely a fantastic book. And to me, one of the best Free Comic Book Day issues there has ever been. What about you, Nick? What'd you think?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I totally agree with that one. I actually got the free one and I got the Daniel Warren Johnson one. So yeah, I double dipped on that one for sure.
Nice, dude.
I thought it was really clever for them. Like, it almost felt like they were giving us a little special treat, the ones that have been reading the series so far, because we all had those questions about like how Megatron got into his current situation, right? And I thought it was so cool to like, okay, we're going to give you the story, but we're going to give it to you as one of 3 stories real quick. And we're just going to fill that gap and it's going to be fucking awesome. And we know it's going to be awesome. And you have these questions and you're going to freaking love it. So I think it was really cool for them to use this platform. I'm going to call it a platform, use this kind of an issue on Free Comic Book Day to like give us that, you know? And I thought that was really cool. The other stories were great. I agree. And I love what Energon's universe is doing right now. It's just every story is just banger, and can't wait for Destro and Scarlet to come out and just kind of keep it going, man. Yeah, pretty good.
Scarlet out on Wednesday, y'all. Get ready. It's going to be fun, man.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but somebody shows up whose name rhymes with Dorm Dado. So I'm just going to say that. 9-panel grid. What did you think about the Free Comic Book Day Energon Universe special?
Before I officially say that, no, I didn't read it because I didn't get any new Comic Book Day comics. I will make the argument that since I treat every Wednesday like Christmas, I don't need to treat one day like Easter. So, you know, I got that going for me.
You know, it was on shelves to buy, though.
Yeah, but that's not free then.
But you need this one though. You got it. Yeah.
Yeah, that one is crazy.
Yeah, you need the Daniel.
So good.
Greg,
Maybe I'll
what'd you
circle back
think?
around for that one.
Oh, again, listen, when Free Comic Book Day, which should be treated like Easter, Eric, just deal with it. Maybe you're wrong. But I think it benefits it so well. Like when you have solid stories through, you know, I picked, this was the second book I read. The first one was Flash, because I was really excited about it. It showcases what I think the industry can be for people. Like you said, Robbie, Love, saying like, you like G.I. Joes, you like Transformers. There's something really good out there right now that is in that property. And I think when there are, you know, books like that out there, it's fantastic. So I loved it. I loved the setup. I also like that they gave you a chance you can buy it a couple weeks later if you weren't able to get it for Free Comic Book Day. Like, so that way it's not like people aren't scooping up these Free Comic Book Days and then are like reselling. I mean, they still are, but it allows you to still get it if you're trying to read it. Or if for some reason, like you don't celebrate the holiday of Free Comic Book Day, you can still go and enjoy this issue later by getting it at your shop.
You know, I think I just figured out that Eric's kind of lying to us. I bet he actually did go to Free Comic Book Day, scooped them all up, had them listed on eBay, and sold them to people in Iowa. I had no shop near them.
Yeah,
like
exactly true.
Oh, where'd he go? He just disappeared.
I was posting a couple things on eBay. Sorry.
Okay. What about you, Stu? What'd you think?
Yeah, man, I second everything you guys said. This was incredible, and I agree with you, Robbie. It is a great way to get new readers, and I agree with you, Nick. It was a great treat for us who've been along for the ride so far. I just love how Skybound is approaching the game and just all their business practices here lately, and how they've treated this universe, and given Void Rivals a break and time to catch up with the artwork and not switching artists, and just the way it's all been unifying. I just finished Cobra Commander this afternoon, and I just love where that's headed, and I love these little minis that they've had and introducing all these big characters. And again, I'm not a Transformers guy. Like it's never really been my stick, but regardless, like even if I do have to go do research after some of these issues, I love and enjoy it so much, and I think it's so well done. From books like Void, where I can really get invested in the characters without without the existing IP having to worry about that or be hip to it. I feel like it's got something for everybody. So shout out to Skybound, just doing the Lord's work right now.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Joe? Did you check that one out?
Oh yeah, no, it was good. One of the other things I think is important to point out is like that bit with Megatron is like almost a full issue's worth of content alone, which is just so fantastic.
Yeah.
And they did it right. It's like, we're going to give you the most of Transformers, the least of Void Rivals, then we're going to give you some GH. That's the formula there. That's how you do it. But no, and again, like the art was great. It was amazing seeing Ryan Otley doing stuff. It's so weird, right? Because like it felt like we were gonna get this like Spider-Man renaissance with Ryan Otley that never really happened, and then he's just kind of been, we had Hulk, and I don't know, like for whatever reason,
too, right?
I feel like he hitched his wagon to Donny Cates, and that didn't work out. Like, because didn't he was on Hulk and Vanish with him? Was that him on Vanish?
No, that was
Segment.
That's
right.
Stegman. Yeah, that's Stegman.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Stegman's on the new X-Men book, so it's all right.
Yeah.
It worked out for him, but no, with Otley, it was like, this was great, and like honestly, like after Jorge Corona's like done with this, if Otley wants to take over after that, great, works for me.
Yeah,
100%. Like that's absolutely. Like 3 great artists all kind of capturing that same energy and tone, and just it's fun, but it's so crazy because I've been in the comic book retail industry for a long time at this point, right? And Transformers and G.I. Joe, as big as those brands may seem to be, they never really move comics, period. Like it just doesn't work, and it's insane the numbers that those books are selling. They're about to cross 3 billion units sold between all the books this year. Like that's like nothing to sneeze at. I mean, Kirkman finally figured out what to do after The Walking Dead, was get other people to do Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
But heck, it works for him. All right, Nick, time for round 2. What's the runner-up for you that you want to talk about, please? And guide. Why don't you guide everybody's going to guide their pick.
Yep.
I trust you all enough to do that. Plus, I got to go take a whiz. So.
No worries. All right, so I have 2 books. I guarantee the other one will be brought up. So I'm going to pick the one that I hope would be brought up, but I'm going to go ahead and grab it right now. We're talking about Zub and Richard Pace on Savage Sword of Conan issue number 2 from I'm so happy that I'm seeing all these covers flash up right now. What covers are those? Did you guys get A?
Dude, I got B because this is I think
you got B.
Oh, this is B. This was like all that was left at my shop by the time like this thing flew off the shelves, man.
It's been, first off, Conan the Barbarian's been a really phenomenal read. Like the first arc was really, really tight. The story was great. The art was spectacular. I've never read Conan going into that run right there. So that was my first introduction to Conan, because I was like, all right, it looks great, man. I'll try it out. It's a number 1. Like sometimes that works, right? That marketing ploy. I fell in love with it. Arc 2 was okay. Arc 3 has been killing it. And then Savage Sword came out in that magazine style format, like that old school format that we're used to. And this page, newspaper print, like black and white. And issue 1 was great. It's always episodic. You don't need to know anything because the character is so obvious and so I don't know. He's just very, it's very on the nose, but like it's very on brand. There's nothing you really need to know about him. He's just kind of like out to rule the day. There might be some overarching thing that he's working through, but like you can essentially pick up any issue and run with it. And this is probably not news to anybody else but me. But as I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, Savage Sword, man, this is such a great book. But the thing I loved about this particular issue is like the first page you open is not beyond the map and stuff like that, is like him essentially crawling out of a grave. And Richard Pace's art on this is just insane.
Unreal.
Like it was one of those moments where like I turn the page and before I can read anything, I just have to stop and like back up a little bit. And I'm just like, what the hell am I going to be getting for with this story, man? This is going to be absolutely crazy.
So good, dude.
And Zub totally killed the story as well. Like it keeps the undead theme that we're used to from Conan the Barbarian a little bit, you know, bringing that in there, but it puts a twist. There's like this community out there that worships this like monster that has these weird like demon powers and can resurrect the dead, and they need to like keep feeding this beast, right? More and more bodies. And Conan got wrapped up into all that, and he's just trying to like fight his way out. And it was a great like evolution through the book as well, like him teaching this child like the ways of being a barbarian almost, and like promising him this future, you can tag along with me. I love that dynamic between him and the kid. The kid was obviously brainwashed, having grown up in this community, and it took a little too long to figure that out, for Conan to really figure that out. I think he thought it might be a little easier, but like he understood what he was up against towards the end. Epic battle scenes, just casualties all over the place, but like at the end of the day, it's just like a Tuesday for Conan, and it was just spectacular. The art was incredible. I just love that black and white sketchy pen stuff. And like since this issue came out, I'm like following him, doing his live draws and everything, and like totally dig the guy. And man, Savage Sword was just such a great read. And I'm insta buying it from like now on, you know. I'm a little sad Zub's off the next one. It's got me a little worried, but I'm gonna keep rolling and see what's going on now. But yeah, Savage Sword, man. Eric, did you read this one, man? What'd you think?
Yes, yes. I love this book so much. Everything Conan right now is just like pitch perfect. It's so good. And the thing I love about the magazine, The Savage Sword, as much as I do, is because like we kind of get caught in the minutia of like these big long, well, actually not big long series, but at least a 12-issue series for the most part with these comics nowadays. The fact that this is like a one and done adventure, it's just like, it's like a palate cleanser. Like it's just like a breath of fresh air. You just read it, you pick it up, you put it down, you're like, I was satisfied by that. And then you can just move on to the next thing. You're not just bogged down by it. And you're right, man. Richard Pace's artwork was just, it wasn't something I was expecting whatsoever. And it's kind of funny because after I read this, I feel like I went back and I just kept seeing more and more. I'm like, oh wait, no, I do know this dude. He's been here, he's been there. He did a lot of inking on this one and that one. And it's like, so it kind of opened my eyes towards like a larger appreciation of his work altogether too. So yeah, this book was just fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, and that one and done nature is perfect too, because like these, I don't know the page count, but it felt like 1.5 or whatever it may have been, right? It felt a little bit oversized, like obviously.
50, 60, something like that, I think.
Well, shit, that'd be double, double or more. So, but what I love though is like even with that additional page count, like you do get a complete story, even if it's just a random week or whatever. That's, you know, it's been weeks in that time period, but like you can pick this up and be totally satisfied without knowing the character and caring what happens after the fact. So the one and done, like you said, is a really great strategy for this that they probably always have, but I'm just brand new to it. So good format. But Bearded Man, Greg, did you read this one, man? What'd you think?
I mean, I'm just glad that, you know, zombie people worked for you on this one when it didn't for Batman for you. So I'm happy there, Nick. But no, I did. I picked this up after the last time I was on in February when the issue 1 came out and you all talked about it, and I didn't pick it up. I was like, all right, I got to. I assumed they figured it out, but thank goodness I could actually read this issue because the first one
was better.
The lettering was hard to read and stuff.
Yep.
Richard Pace, his art from, you know, I found on him because of Second Coming and stuff, Mark Russell book.
All right.
I've really enjoyed his stuff.
Oh yeah.
These are I enjoyed it a lot. This is one though, like I'll read it. If I see it, I'll pick it up. I don't know if I'm gonna add it to my poll because of the one and done nature. It's gonna be one of those things of like, oh cool. It looks like it's gonna be something fun, I'll read it. I haven't read any Conan besides the first issue of Savage Sword and then this one. So I'm still dipping my toe into this world. I'm enjoying what I get. I don't know if it's something that I want to consume like all these omnis of it, you know, moving forward, but it's going to be one of those I'll definitely like, oh, if it's around and I can get it, cool, I'll pick it up and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. And I did. I enjoyed this issue. It was a fun story. But like you said, you know what you're going to get with a Conan story, right? Like for the most part. And I think for that part, I don't know if it's something that like I'm going to like crave that I have to have.
Yeah. I will say, so you have not read Conan the Barbarian, the current run of Conan.
I haven't read, I've only read Savage Sword 1 and 2. That's it. Being
completely fresh to Conan, I would really recommend at least the first arc, the first 6 issues or so of the Conan the Barbarian run, and then it kind of falls for like 2.5 issues, and then it jumps right back up again to that level of excitement again. So if you like Savage Sword and you have a little bit of a itch for a little bit more, I would read that first arc.
Don't worry, Sleepy Reader. I support One and Dones a lot. My shop is very happy with my pull list, so don't worry.
Yeah. Stu, man, I know you're reading this one, dude. What you think about it?
Yeah, loved it, dude. Phenomenal. Like you said, just from the opening jump, him crawling out of the grave, you know you're in for something something special. Pace's artwork, like the scene with the horses and the zombies when they first appear. I love the wolf attack. That was one of my favorite parts of the story.
But overall, like 300-ish, right? Yeah.
Yes, right. Yeah, exactly. And I love how, you know, Pace's artwork syncs up with Zub's writing. You know, it's like, you know, one example is not enough. It seems like they need another. It's very, like you said, 300-ish, like very Leonidas. It sounds like that. You can like almost hear that narration voice in your head. But yeah, dude, this to me, it was a story. I love, you know, for what Greg's talking about, the things you normally expect from a Conan story. You definitely got all that with this, but I just love the relationship between him and the kid, him basically not even being able to stand up for a number of weeks, and this kid completely nursing him back to health. And like, I love the solemnness of the ending, like, you know, how he wanted to give this kid a new future and liberate him, but he's going to have to be content enough that this garden isn't going to have any more dead rise out of it. Like, I just thought, I loved how the way they tied that emotion together with like those typical Conan themes. So yeah, man. But Pace's artwork shines through again. Like, I just love the smell of this thing. Good Lord. Like, just flipping through it, it's just so intoxicating.
Right there, brother.
Yeah, man. It's a beautiful thing. I can't wait to see more of these issues. I hope they keep it going.
Yeah, I was thinking about the one and done nature of it too. Like, even in a one and done book that's double length, you need to have, I mean, obviously you need to have some kind of plot points, right? You need to have some kind of an arc for that reader. And like everything, even if you have a 6-issue run, you're going to build out your arc. We're just condensing it down to like a single issue. So like, even if you have to hit certain familiar beats, you can be creative in how you hit it, how the characters interact, the experiences they have, the emotions behind those characters. And I think he did a really good job with that with the boy. Obviously, it's really the only 2 characters there besides some ancillary town folk and some other people that he meets up with. So I think he handled that emotional roller coaster really, really well. So yeah, it was really good, even for a one and done. It was really good.
Yeah. And real quick, I just want to say shout out to you because you put me on the regular Conan run, and that's been spectacular too here lately with Zub and who is it, De La Torre, I think, on art.
Yeah. So in the beginning, and then it switched a little bit, and then
he's back. Yeah, that's been awesome as well. So definitely recommend that one too.
It's been great. Yep. Joe, man, did you read this one?
I did. I want to also piggyback on something you were starting to say, like with how Conan sort of like underestimated how long it would take for the kid to, or like thought the kid wasn't like brainwashed and all that. For me, it was basically the kid and Conan were like opposite ends of naive. Like,
yeah,
the kid thought like, you know, like, oh, Conan's gonna like, you know, I'm gonna do this, and then he's gonna heal, and he's gonna be as strong as he ever was, like really fast, and blah blah blah, and we're friends, and this and that. And Conan, from his adventures, is, you know, it makes sense that he would think like, you know, like a young boy like that, like, you know, you bounce back, you're not gonna be swayed by this and that, like you're not gonna let the world get you because it didn't get him. And I think so they were like both being naive in different ways, which I really appreciated, like just narratively. So I really love that about the story. And yeah, just all the elements of it. I mean, like everyone was saying, Richard Pace killed it. Jim just gets Conan in a way that I think few people do right now who are writing comics.
Definitely.
So, I mean, it's incredible to see. It's incredible to see a Conan comic that's like still like got like, you know, not to knock a giant corporation or anything, but this couldn't happen
right
at Marvel because they couldn't let it be this much of a hard R bordering on, you know, M or whatever you want to call it. And the way it operates is like, we wouldn't have gotten issue 12 this month of the main Conan book. We would have gotten, if we were lucky, Conan 2024 volume 3 issue 2. So the fact that this is I mean, that's crazy, and I just hope it keeps going.
Yeah, that's true. Like the shackles of the big two, like editorial process would completely neuter this book. Whereas if you have it somewhere else in more forgiving hands or more, relaxed hands, you can do these one and done stories and not have to worry about tying it in with freaking Captain America or some shit, right? So it's just like, it can breathe because it should. And that's not always the direction you get with big two. They don't let things breathe. They have to slam you into the next thing and see what Moon Knight would do in this situation. It's just like, who the hell cares, man? Just let the character be the character and let good writers that have cool stories tell those stories in the amount of issues it takes to tell the story. Yeah. And then good shit will happen. Just trust the process. Yeah, that's a good point. Mm-hmm. Robbie, man, what'd you think about Conan, dude? Did you read this one?
Well, first of all, I would say that Jim Zub's Savage Avengers was actually pretty solid, right? And it was, Conan in the Marvel Universe, which to me is a very bad fucking idea, but he seemed to make it work, right? Mm-hmm. And then David Pepose had to come in and kind of do the last Conan story at Marvel, and I thought that was pretty decent. Mm-hmm. And I thought the Jason Aaron run was okay, but yeah, don't trust Marvel with something like Conan, not compared to what they're doing right now. Look at the difference between Zub's Savage Avengers and no, that was Duggan. That wasn't Zub. Zub did something else.
Yeah, he did. Was it Savage Sword or like that's Marvel's version?
Yeah. I totally got that confused. Yeah, but Duggan did an okay job with it, I guess. But like, look at this. So 1988, 7-year-old Robbie sneaking into his stepdad's closet to pick up his savage swords of Conan. Because it's got like boobies and butts and like zombies and vampires and beheadings and guts and all that kind of stuff. And it was like my favorite stuff that I saw in the movies that I liked. And so like I would go and this book takes me back to that, man. And Jim Zub in particular, his Conan the Barbarian and De La Torre like feels very much like John Buscema. You know what I'm saying? So it's got that classic kind of vibe and coast to it. And I wouldn't be worried about Jim Zub not doing the third issue because he didn't do, the main story in the first issue. He did that really great prose piece. Now I wish that the second issue had a prose piece. I wish that like each one had like somebody doing a prose piece. That would be really cool to me. But man, I loved this issue. I loved it so much. Richard Pace's artwork was great, man. The gritty textured nature of it was fantastic. But my favorite thing was that they fixed the printing problems from the first issue where they kind of like oversaturated it and it was muddy and not very clear. Man, that line work was very clear on both the Pace story and the Zurcher story. So I thought it was top freaking notch. And I have never been more of a Conan fan than I am right now. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's doing its job for sure.
I just hate that it's only 6 issues planned, but Savage. I hope they really extend it because it deserves to. It deserves that.
Yeah, I hope it sells. I mean, it's a $7 book, magazine size, double length, amazing team on it, killer story, great reviewed. Yeah, I mean, like they're doing everything right, man.
I haven't talked to any other retailers in this, though.
What?
7-year-old Robbie wants more boobies in this Savage Sword.
Yeah, there was.
It's fine for what it is,
there's a big lack of topless nudity in this specific issue.
Well, I mean, I like the big beefy men too, so don't discredit that. Well, I think that's pretty nice too.
Well, then there you go.
It's something for everybody, right?
Yeah, Perfect. there is, and there's plenty of nudity in the main series too, Conan the Barbarian, right? Mm-hmm. So. Not as and even back in the day, it wasn't like it was just all balls to wall like a Linnea Quigley movie or some shit. It's not something like that. It's not Slumber Party Massacre or anything like that. But it's they were whatever. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. I don't remember.
No, I just threw you off, and
I don't know. But everybody watching, if you haven't read the main run, go check that one out too. It's been absolutely spectacular and honorable mention because that came out this month too. If nobody brings it up, so.
Yeah,
great one.
All right, Eric.
Eric's turn.
Yeah, it's your show for a moment. What's your next pick?
I'm fighting every instinct to keep the Conan Love Fest going here, but I'll actually go with maybe a safer bet after my first pick here. I'm gonna go
Okay,
with
thank you.
Avengers Twilight #6 here. Wow. This stuck the landing, and I kind of had faith that it was going to, because every issue building up to this has been, I mean, fantastic. It's been pick of the month worthy kind of books, every single one that's come through. But man, like this, I don't know. I think this is probably one of the best big two books that I think I've read throughout the entire year. But the thing that like sets this apart for me is that, you know, we got the comparisons. This is the Dark Knight Returns of the Marvel Universe, or the Avengers, and yada yada yada. And okay, sure, maybe it is that, because every other issue was the doom, the gloom. You know, this was like the ray of sunshine that like peeked out from the clouds, and like it was hopeful, it was optimistic by the end, and it was everything that you would expect from a superhero comic that is actually supposed to be inspirational, in the ways that it was inspirational when you read it when you were 6 years old and you believed that superheroes could be a thing that were real in the real world. I just loved it. Acuna's artwork was like so kinetic and like so full of movement, and the colors were just perfect. And Zdarsky, I think this is probably, I heard that this was kind of on the table for a while, so maybe he had time to tweak things here and there over the years that apparently this has been in development. But man, like I would put this amongst the best books that I feel like he's ever written, you know, whether it be independent or big two books. I just think he just nailed this book through and through, and like the messaging was perfect. It's like one of those rare 5 out of 5 books. I feel like it was just so awesome. But speaking of 5 out of 5, Greg, did you read this? What did you think?
I mean, thank you. I agree with you with the Acuna artwork. And everything you said about hearing that it was a long process is the same thing I heard. The idea of, which I think served Marvel very well here, to allow Acuna to get the book done, you know, and Chip to have that it would come out in succession, because so often when you have artwork like this, I feel like Marvel or DC, they'd rush it out, and then there's these laps in it, and you like, oh, wait, I read that 6 months ago. What is this? Like, oh, I haven't. So I think like kudos to the big two for a lot, you know, getting that out when it needed to, whether at least saying like, okay, we'll put it out. I don't know the behind the scenes stuff or whatever, so I might just be speaking out my butt here. But this idea, like, I do appreciate that it came out monthly so I could enjoy it and consume it all in one sitting. I thought it was a great futuristic Elseworlds tale of that wrapped up the way I'd want it to. You know, I've been enjoying this. It's a lot of your token Marvel or DC storyline traits that you would get. But the moments hit for me. And I think that was key. Like there were key moments here with some of the characters that we know and love where I'm like, yup. And there were stuff I'm like, I wonder if they're going to do this. I hope they do this. And they did it. And for me, like, and it doesn't, you don't, I'm not a comic book writer. So like, I try not to judge a comic of like, well, I wouldn't have done this because who am I? Right. Like, but when it does go a route kind of like I hope it does, I'm like, yeah, that works for me. So no, I thought overall it was a very good wrapped up story. I think 6 issues was perfect for it. I think sometimes too, we draw these stories out and it didn't need to be. It was a nice self-contained story.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on too. And I think that there's a lot of stories where we kind of go into it and, you know, we're looking for certain things, and some books are really great at subverting those expectations, and it's definitely more pleasing when they subvert those expectations. But I don't think that this book is one of them where it would have necessarily like been a boon to the story. I think there were things that we clearly wanted to see happen, and it did it in a really satisfying way. But Stu, what about you, man? Did you read this?
Yeah, man, I loved it. You know, it's been a great series. Echo everything what you guys have said about Acuna's artwork. I loved his character designs in particular, just all across the board.
Yep.
You know, especially with I don't want to ruin anything, but you know, yet another Avenger who shows up in this last issue. I just love the look on them. I loved
Hulk's on the cover. You can say
no, not Hulk. Not Hulk.
And there's another.
I don't want to do that with Nick. I don't want to pull a Nick.
Oh, whatever. I didn't spoil shit.
We're talking about Wasp. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah. I love you, bro. You know, I'm fucking with you.
I just got your reference, Robbie. Well done.
So yeah, let me try to figure out where I'm at. But I love the little nuances that Chip does in the finale, and where some of these characters kind of end up, whether still alive or not with us anymore. I just really love this story for really, you know, having Cap be the main guy carrying the weight through the first couple of things of it, and just that old grizzled version of him has been fantastic. He's just one of my favorite characters in the Marvel universe. I definitely would like to see more stories like this in the Marvel universe, where they give artist and writer time to complete the story before they roll out the publishing schedule, and where they let them explore alternate realities, alternate ideas, new things. Like, I don't know, take some risks. This worked for me. Chip's one of my favorite writers in the game, and I thought this was handled very well. So yeah, shout out. I thought 6 issues was perfect, not too short, not too long, and a solid send off for issue 6 here.
Yeah, and some of those moments that you were speaking to as well, or alluding to, I should say, at the very end, I think it did offer the proper send off, not only for the story, but for individual characters that we get to see in some of the things that happen throughout the story. I thought that was it was definitely beautiful, man. I would totally agree with you. Yeah. Joe, what did you think, man?
It's good. But like, I mean, it's very good. It's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good story, but I mean, you could fill a library with the amount of like Marvel the End or like kind of things. Mm-hmm. And this is an indictment on this story. It's a good story, but aren't you all sick of like the best things being like, oh man, this out of continuity story is the best thing the Big Two is doing. Oh man, this like Elseworld, what if that's the best thing they're doing? And it's like, wouldn't it be nice if it was like, oh, did you read the new issue of the in continuity story that we're all supposed that ties into everything? Man, that was great. Like,
but that's that's in itself is an alternate reality. So if we're not going to have that, then why don't we just like praise the things that we do get when they're really good?
But I mean, it's one of those things where it's also like it loses its impact when that's the only thing that's really good and you keep getting different versions of it, So it's like after a while, it's like, oh man, Avengers Endgame, that was a crazy send-off. Oh man, Avengers Endgame 17, that was pretty good, I guess. Like after a while, it's like, okay, like I want to see something. I want different kinds of stories, but the same ones that it seems like the efforts put in, or they get the teams, or they curate it with care, feel very similar.
But I would ask, do publishers allow writers to have that opportunity and that freedom? Like, you have Chip Zdarsky's on Batman right now, and it is not my favorite Batman story but like, where they can tell a 6-issue Elseworld story, they can keep it the way they want to because it doesn't affect continuity. So like, how do you fix that then? Because I wish I agree with you, Joe. I wish like I was singing the praises that Batman was my favorite Batman book out there. The fact that it hasn't for years is shocking to me.
Right.
Yeah, but no, I am with you, and I wish there was a way for some of this to change. I'll go into some of the stuff that I've been liking that is main continuity stuff, but yeah, it gets tough because like you're kind of trapped in this situation where, okay, like if you're like something like Batman, for example, you want the biggest names or whatever to be on some of these books to sell, because maybe maybe a marquee team on a book bumps the sales by like 10%. So it's like, do you want to do that on a book, like a C-list book, and go from selling 30,000 a month to 33? Or do you maybe want to bump up, you know, Batman from 100,000 to 110,000 or something like that?
Right.
You know, like those kind of things. So you want to get the bigger team on it, but part of the negotiation for that is they're gonna want more say, or they're gonna want to be able to do more, play more with the characters, like Hickman with Hoxpox and all of that. So it's this weird sort of dance of like,
Yeah.
oh, you want me to do Batman? Well, but you're asking me, and I'm already a big enough name, I'm gonna counter with certain things I want to do, you know. So it's and you've seen this happen all the time, where it's like, oh, you know, you just killed off this character. All right, well, if I'm going to do this run, I love this character, so I'm bringing him back. So it's like, we're going to undo the big thing we did 2 years ago, so that way we can get the bigger. So like, it's a complicated, messy situation that I am not, you know, jealous of the people that have to do that. But one example of a book that, you know what? Well, I'll get to it on my turn. We'll do that.
Well, and I appreciate your input and your insight on that too, though, because I think you have a unique perspective on it, being, you know, your background and what you do for a living as well. Because one of the strengths of this book, and actually of Marvel as a whole, I think is Will Moss, who is the editor on this book itself.
Yeah,
I think that some of his background and some of his either, you know, input on this probably helped things blossom to what it was eventually able to be. But speaking of unique perspectives, Robbie, what did you think of this?
Well, I get what Joe's saying, where it would be really cool if we were as excited about Avengers Twilight as we were Avengers.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and when Marvel's incredibly healthy, that's the kind of vibe we get. We're talking about like, you know, Kurt Busiek, George Perez, like when they were on Avengers, that was something we were all talking about. Every single month. We were like, man, did you read that? That was so cool. I didn't even know who these damn characters were, but now I'm buying up all these Dr. Druid back issues and shit like that, you know? But man, I really gotta give a little bit of props to Marvel for doing something that I don't think they typically do, which is a book that will be perennial and evergreen, and something that I can give any hardcore Marvel Avengers fan, or any newbie, or any fan of the movies, or any casual fan. You know who Cap, Thor, Iron Man, and Hulk are. You're going to get this book, and it's going to make sense. And you are able to take more chances. And I think the big thing is, if you're going to get big creators on books, let them take chances. You know, like you did with Hickman on Hoxpox. But then let them fucking finish. Let them actually do it. Trust the talent. Because one thing we're learning with Transformers and G.I. Joe is brands can be powerful, but marquee creators are also powerful. And when you have the synergy of both of them working together, you're going to get crazy awesome stuff. Now, I'm not saying you should get Chip and Daniel on the ongoing Avengers book. I don't know if that would be a good idea. Man, I loved this book. In fact, I thought structurally, it kept surprising me how quick the pace would start jumping ahead. And it never felt wonky. It never felt clumsy. The art was gorgeous all the way through. You could tell that it had the time. You mentioned the dynamic nature of it, the way it was showing movement, Eric. Also the tone, the mood, the atmosphere of the book, right? Dark and murky. And oh my God, Captain America doesn't have to give a giant speech every fucking issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was absolutely, I had so much fucking fun with this book, and it's perfectly designed for me as a retailer to be like, oh, you like the Avengers movies? Well, let's not talk about Phase 4. Why don't you check this book out? Marvel needs to now follow through and keep that book in print, because I think it's something that people will still read and enjoy 5 years from now.
I also understand that, and apologize for, talking about this book. I was like, it's great, but here's my problems with everything around this that have nothing to do with the actual book itself. I do understand. I saw an opportunity to have a broader conversation, and I took it. But,
that's why we love you, Joe. That's what we want.
Bring it on.
Exactly.
But it's a good conversation that I think that is healthy to have. Like, you know, Do you make the accessibility of, do you make Batman, the ongoing Batman story, the more toned down but accessible to a new reader or to a casual reader, and then take like say a Chip Zdarsky where he wants to do Batman Zor-El, and have him like do that in an Elseworld story or something. So that's in that way, then you would have your ongoing series be a little bit more obtainable or for a new reader or a traditional reader.
Yeah, and like Joe said, it's a tricky situation because even if the editor or a publisher wants to trust their talent, you got big wigs up top. You being like, bro, we got to sell Batman T-shirts.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We can't fuck with the character too much. We gotta. It's like James Bond. It's got to go back to the way it was by the next movie. So it's a comic books are about the illusion of change. Right. And I think that we could be better at that as an industry, I think. So,
yeah, it's all about putting the toys back in the toy chest sometimes here. But Nick, what about you, man? What did you think of this issue?
Man, I got so many thoughts after hearing all you guys take this conversation in lots of different directions, to be honest with you. So I'll try not to spend too much time on it. But it's first of all, I absolutely loved it. I think this and Beneath the Trees are like, they're up there, man. They're up there for and Joe, point taken. They're up there for as books to beat. Not maybe the best, but like things need to come out that either match or are better than that. And it's going to be hard, man. It's going to be really hard to knock down the package that we have with both of those series. Chip had a lot of opportunity to get really preachy with this if he wanted to, because it is a dystopian, social media driven, the whole culture's changing, obviously, from like this American mindset, to like something that's run by freaking Red Skull. So I mean, like he had a real opportunity to like get really preachy and political with it, I think, but like he held that back. He restrained it a lot, and so it didn't have that vibe, which was cool. I thought it was interesting that we could have been bogged down with some of that. The character moments in here, there are a few books that I can remember still reading over the last like 7 or so years. It's like there are moments that stand out as like hair-raising kinds of moments, and it's usually like an introduction of a character or something I didn't see coming or something like that. And I think this book probably has like 2 of those moments in it. So like it was really great. I think Greg, you brought this up. It had really great moments in it, peppered in this really tight, nice story that just kind of worked. And it had so many like fan service things that didn't feel preachy or didn't feel like not deserved or anything. So like it had opportunity to be kind of cringy and preachy, and it didn't, and just executed very, very well. And like the art was spectacular and just so awesome. So yeah. Great pick.
I would say that the Tony and Bruce and Valhalla thing was a little bit cheesy. We didn't need that, right? Just a little bit cheesy.
I liked it. I don't.
Open your heart, Robbie.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite parts.
Oil up whatever lock your heart is in right
Was
now.
it cheesy? Yes,
of course.
But
for sure.
But did it still make me
It's
go?
one of those things like, don't worry, kids, it's okay. Iron Man's still alive somewhere else.
Fine.
And
It was
who
like the
cares
shawarma
about that?
moment
That's
at
good
the end
for
of
it.
Avengers. That's
Tony
all.
lives on a farm now.
Sorry that Robbie has no soul.
Oh, thank God.
No, if they would put
Fluffy?
some purple gloves on that motherfucker, who knows, man?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Although I did think Bruce Banner was Mysterio at first.
Dude, so did
at
I.
first I was like, wait, who's this guy?
It took me like a couple page flips.
Yeah, right? He did.
What if it was
Really
Mysterio? They're like, oh yeah, Mysterio. And Thor's just like, what?
This dude? Really?
It was all an illusion, the whole thing. But yeah, but real quick though, to your point about like why can't we should be celebrating ongoings, like it should be received like this well, because they should be putting the effort and everything into it. It's series like this that almost make me want to throw away continuity completely and just say like, okay, we just want good writers and good artists to like team up and tell 6-issue stories and not worry about anything connecting. Like that would destroy
Don't tell a
everything.
retailer that.
I understand it would destroy everything, but it would make everything evergreen, and like it would give everybody a chance to just write the story they want to write and not be shackled with what happened previously and like where editorial wants things to go. So like,
but like think about the Captain America run from Nick Spencer though, and I'm not speaking to execution necessarily, but I think that they tried to do some big bold things there, and like the entire comic reading industry was like, no. Moving on, not happening. So it's like it's really difficult when you're working within the boundaries of making everyone happy.
That's true. Fandom's a big deal too, because fandoms want what they expect. I was recently talking about that this week with Flash. Like I hear a lot of people like, "Oh, I hate this Flash. It's so confusing. I'm like, you just want the same fucking Flash story then." Sometimes us readers, we're part of the problem because we just want the same fucking James Bond movie every fucking time.
We want to see Jim Gordon standing up to the corrupt people and
purple gloves.
Purple gloves.
Yeah.
Excellently done, Eric. You nailed it. What about you, Greg? It's time for you to reveal your next pick and lead the conversation.
Listen, I don't know if it's a safe pick or a pick, but I don't really care because I love this book. I think it's been fantastic, and I'm going to talk about Uncanny Valley issue number 2. Tony Fleece, Dave Waschter on the art, from Boom Studios. If you're not familiar with it, the idea of a kid who finds out in issue 1 that he is partially, Joe's already out. He's like, I hate this book. Like, screw. Like it's Tony Fleece adjacent because, so we're talking about Feral and Beneath the Trees. But
I've already shit on this whole concept earlier today. I'm really weird.
I love this idea. I love this idea of it feels like a unique story. We're talking about we want something fresh. We want something new. You have these out of context stories a little bit, but this is a kid who, is in the real world and he's finding out his grandpa is basically Yosemite Sam, right? Like they're using all the classic cartoon tropes that they can't do because they don't want to be sued. So it's not Yosemite Sam and it's not Wile E. Coyote in this, but I appreciate all the things that they're doing of, as someone who grew up on these Saturday morning cartoons, watching the classic tropes of don't look down and then, just whistle as you're walking across on the air, but they always fall and they still fall in this, right? And the painting on the painting the tunnel on the on the rock wall, and some can go through, some can't. And I think what I love about this series so much is the art is so different. Like Dave's artwork, the realism on his art is fantastic. And then when you throw in just like the cartoon moments of like him like the kid popping his ears, so you have like the realistic face of the child, and then his ears are cartoon expanded long, super big and stuff like this. Or there's an anvil being dropped on the car and it's a realistic looking car. The artwork of it being crunched is fantastic. And then it's like the grandpa's being like torpedoed out like a bullet, in a cartoon form. I just love all these elements that I think is so much fun. I love the design. I love the artwork. I love the rules that Tony Fleece put in this issue. Like I hadn't, all these characters that if you see people in real life and you think they look insanely like weird, like big facial features that like, you're like, oh, as a kid, you think that looks awkward and weird. They're just a cartoon, but our minds don't process it. And I thought it was fun. And I'm just enjoying this world that Tony and Dave have created here. So, Stu, are you reading this?
I have not read this particular issue. I did enjoy and love.
Joe, what do you think?
Issue 1. Sorry, bud. But yeah, man, I hear everything you said about the art. That's definitely my favorite part about it. I love Tony Fleece, man. He's one of my favorite up and coming creators. I think with Stray Dogs, this one, Feral, Local Man. I love pretty much everything he's done so far. So sorry I don't have any feedback on this particular issue, fine. But I have loved this series so far from the first issue.
Yeah. Joe, are you reading this?
Yeah, but I just want to throw out there, I worked with Tony back in 2017. So I'm just saying I was aware, and I was on the Tony train before a bunch of new people got there. So just
I wasn't reading comics back then, so
yeah, but this is going to be shocking to a lot of you, but I want to use this to have a larger conversation. Would you?
Oh, Jesus, need a coffee.
Is, like, I totally get why you love it, and it's a good book. And I know that that's been like my thing with all this. I'm like, it's really good, but also, isn't life terrible? Has been like my response to it all. But but like it's good, and you're describing what you loved about it, and I get it, but like, do you ever like step outside yourself and it's like you are exactly who this book was like made for?
Yeah.
Completely. And like I'm there too. I loved Saturday morning cartoons. I still watch Saturday morning cartoons. Like there's so many like, you know, Twitch and YouTube streams where they like recreate like old Saturday morning, and I love that stuff. But like I want to know what it's like to like something new. I don't know. Like it's new things are good too, right? Like sometimes good things are made that are new, but like everything, like it's this nostalgia trap. And it's like, do we remember what it was like before it was nostalgia? Because no, because you were just liking the things you're nostalgic about now. And it's like we're in a sort of purgatory in a way, like an entertainment purgatory. And the things we like that excite us are references to the things we liked and excited us in our youth. And like, yeah, I really love this comic that reminds me of what it was like when Grandpa was still alive, you know, like things like that. But yeah, and it's all like like that, and Local Man, and like all these things, and it's like they're all adjacent to each other, and they're maybe kind of new-ish, but it's still like I want to feel, you know? I just want to feel.
Well, I wonder. I'd
That's
be
the guy
really
who just did a
curious, Joe.
reboot of a '90s
I
fucking
would be really
cartoon.
curious as someone, because I do think there is I would say there is an age, probably if you're younger than a lot of us on this panel that didn't grow up with those like classic 19, you know, like the old school Looney Tune tropes that you get because they weren't on reruns all the time. Like I would be really curious if someone was picking this up and it's new to them and that they do or don't like it, and how is it successfully compared to us or me, because you know, like I really like it because of what it brings. So I'd be really curious to hear of like if there is someone that is like, I don't get some of these references, but I think it's funny or entertaining.
Yeah.
Because everything that we grew up, there's so much media and stuff for us to consume, right? We talk about nostalgia all the time, and we're living in this world of Transformers and stuff that's being reused right now and redone. But I didn't grow up watching Transformers. I didn't grow up watching G.I. Joe. So all this new series is my first exposure to it.
Yep.
So I'd be curious about like what it is for some of the others, because we aren't all in the same pocket of growing up with the same nostalgia. But
yeah, no, it's interesting, but like what I immediately thought about when you said that is like I loved, and I still love, Who Framed Roger Rabbit as a kid.
right.
I did not care about the public transit situation in LA, but I still enjoyed that movie. I never saw Chinatown when I was like 8 because that would be weird. But you know, I you know, I still enjoyed the movie and stuff, and it's I do wonder about that. Like I think it's a little different with something like Transformers, because I think Daniel Warren Johnson is sort of crafting a like reboot with it's like we're rebooting this franchise with these familiar characters, and it's like, and it's an older reader friendly way of doing it, where it's like you're not like, when you try going back and watching that cartoon, like I still love the animated movie and I can still get through some of those old episodes through nostalgia, but especially like those first like, you know, 20, 30, whatever episodes where it was just like Megatron found an oil rig and they're going to make Energon cubes. Megatron found a dam and they're going to make Energon cubes. Megatron found a geyser, gonna make Energon cubes, you know, and it was like whatever. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I I do enjoy, and I think the art too, like Dave Walker, who did the new Punisher, right?
Yeah,
The-
he was with Pebbles on the Punisher. Yep.
yeah, I love his art. And I think with Uncanny Valley, I kind of wish it blended a little better, because the flat colors with the Yosemite Sam character and all that, like, I don't think it completely works. Like, it's not to the point where I'm not going to read this book. I think there's interesting things going on, but I feel like they haven't quite gelled with the cartoony aspects with the more realistic art. And I wonder how much of that is the more textured coloring versus the flat coloring, and how that kind of something about it is just not vibing with me with
I get
that,
it.
as the kids say.
Robbie, what do you think?
I
You've
think
been
Joe's just
quiet
grumpy
awfully.
because someone strapped a dresser drawer with the TV to his back. Is what I think.
Well, I mean, it gets, lower back pain when you get older is real. Just
It's
saying.
true.
Greg, I actually like Cool World.
I'm sorry.
I haven't seen it since I haven't seen it since it first came out, so maybe it's not good. I don't
All
know.
right, so
Um,
I think that's a pop culture movie review here.
Yeah, we need to
I-
add that to the list, man.
I'll come for that.
I'll watch
Yeah.
it. I'll watch it, and maybe I have to eat my own words here.
I
for
thought
Yeah.
Kim Basinger as a cartoon was hot as hell but I was like, what, 13 when that movie came
well,
out?
so was
Maybe
Jessica Rabbit. So I mean,
yeah, I guess so. But I really like Uncanny Valley. I like the
Mhm.
cartoon language and stuff that they're using there. I loved the Wile E. Coyote bit. I like how the artwork has that realistic flair until the cartoons pop up. I love the look of the birds, and like I don't know, it kind of gives me Tony's on to something right now, right? He's like,
Yeah.
people are really digging my cartoons in the real world kind of thing, right? And he's running with it, which is interesting because that's not what he's doing on the book that he's putting more sweat into, which is Local Man, right?
Yeah.
But I really, really do enjoy Uncanny Valley, and it's familiar. It's tying into some nostalgia, obviously, but I think that Tony's playing with it in the right way. So I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Nick, I'm coming to you. So Nick, what do you think?
I think and Joe mentioned this earlier, and we kind of talked about it earlier too. This is the third book where we have an imaginary land on top of a real world scenario. And what I'm talking about is we had Something Epic, which I thought was a great, albeit verbose, first arc.
Sure.
Second arc has been spectacular though. We had Kill Your Darlings, which just wrapped up 10 issues, which was exactly the same book. It was a little girl, different origin for the how this is happening. But essentially it was a young girl's imagination kind of come to life, and she has to use those allies now to take on some greater threat. And so it's like, I think we're having a saturation of concepts, but what I will give Tony Fleece and team credit for are the small moments inside Uncanny Valley issue number 2. 1 didn't click with me as much. 2 clicked because we had great moments in it. Like sitting in the car with the ears or the nose or whatever that was, that exchange, that explanation of how this kind of works, I thought was really cool. And then obviously when we're falling, right, when we're close your eyes, take your step, like those connecting moments I thought were unique for this story. And those are the moments that got me interested in the story, even though the concept was extremely familiar. I mean, we just gave tons of examples of how this happens. So I liked the moments. I didn't enjoy the book, but I think I'll keep reading it though, because I like everybody else just said, it's just full of nostalgia bait.
Yeah.
So like, why wouldn't you?
Well,
And it's all new to this kid too. So like we're seeing almost what we talked about earlier about like, we know that when you paint a half circle on a side of a mountain and you draw a road, you will be able to get through that, but they won't. Like we know that's coming.
Yeah.
But this kid didn't know that. So we're seeing that perspective through his eyes right now.
And what I love about this conversation though, too, is we're also, all of us are avid comic book readers, and we're putting out YouTube content and stuff like this. But Nick, literally, like the 2 series that you mentioned, and one's an Eisner nominated series. I haven't read Kill Your Darlings, and I have not read Something's Epic. So the 2 series that you mentioned, I haven't experienced. So for me, it's not something that's being told.
It's not rehashed for you.
It's an interesting concept of, because we can't consume everything. So it is what are the, it's funny that certain things click for us that don't for others, because I haven't read those two series and I want to, but I love that there's so much content that we can consume.
And to not counter that, but to add to that, a few years ago we had 3 wrestling books at the same time, at least, right? We had Hell's Squared Circle, we had Dual Power Bomb, we had Crimson Cage. All 3 of those were spectacular, like for their own reasons. So like there are instances where you all of a sudden get this saturation of concept that's the same concept executed slightly differently, and they're all bangers. Like that does happen. So like I get that, and so I hope I hope this works, so.
Yeah. Eric, last but not least, better say something good. No, just
I only have good things to say. But before I dive into the book itself, considering that we're talking about nostalgia, right, and maybe the overbearing nature of nostalgia right now, I think it would just be so appropriate if Robbie was getting a pop-up on his computer right now saying, don't you think right now would be a perfect time to run an ad for Beverly Hills Cop 4 coming to Netflix June 14th?
Yeah, I'm so pumped for it too, bro.
I'm so hoping that that's actually happening in the background. But Uncanny Valley, I loved the issue. Like, I think it marries Chuck Jones's aesthetic perfectly with what feels like the Norman Rockwell aspect of the actual real world artwork. I don't know who the colorist was on this. Was it Tamara Bonvillain? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head, but I think they have the unenviable task of trying to make these two worlds work, which works well in a world
It's
like
all
Roger
Dave.
Rabbit.
The
Is
artist,
all?
it just says artist is Dave and the letter is Pat. So Dave is doing the coloring and the art and everything, I would assume.
Cool. Thank you for checking that. I mean, it's heavy lifting to do, because in the world where you're marrying animation and like a movie, there's lighting and there's things that you can play with, but on a static page, you don't have that aspect. So you have to kind of choose your color palettes appropriately to make it to where it's not so like garish and like really pulls you out of the experience. So I thought that they did really well with that. And Greg, I'm kind of like you. I haven't read something as epic, right? So like this is my introduction, and I feel like it's taking all those things that I saw on Saturday morning cartoons, and it's putting them, it's putting them in a nice little box for me to consume, and I'm enjoying it.
And speaking of consuming things and enjoying it, Stu, you're up.
All right.
Yeah, Stu, you're up. And as you know, Stu, unfortunately, we got to start picking up this pace. Me and Stu got a show in a half an hour.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I'm going to go with the book that nobody can.
Whoa. Calm down. Down.
Okay. All right.
My
My bad.
Hyperventilate or nothing. Give yourself a conniption fit or nothing. Like, just calm down. You're all good. Just maybe we shouldn't try to figure out the industry wide as a whole yet right now for the rest of the show. I don't know.
All right. Take a breath. I'm going to go with the book nobody can call unoriginal. Kaya, number 18. Such a fantastic issue. Of course, Wes Craig doing story and art here. One of those fantastic dudes handling it all and doing such an amazing job. Jason Wardy deserves a definite shout out on the coloring. Just such a vibrant, amazing color work here in this issue. Where we kind of get the climax of the story with the rebels versus the Etrurians. We get some double crossing on both sides of the fence. I love the emotional stakes of this. I love Jin's transformation into the dragon and that scene of him kind of like fighting free. I thought it was brilliant, and I love the cracks that we're starting to see and the relationship between Kaya and Jin as well. Towards the end of the story and the decisions she's making, and trying to help her brother, fulfill his destiny and also, protect him and do the right thing at the time. I just love, she feels the weight of a world on her shoulders. She doesn't always make the best decisions. She's, obviously very impulsive and emotional sometimes, but, she's just trying to do right by her little brother. And I just love the emotional stakes of this scene where, one double cross meets another, and then there's an escape and they think they're home free, but, they're the farthest thing from it. Just another amazing chapter in a book that that's been incredible. But I wanted to mention this one tonight because our brother Manny's not here, and he's the one who put me onto this way back when. So shout out to him, and for putting me onto this wonderful book. It's just so much fun, something new, something completely different. Just an amazing world I love to step into month to month. And it's just a great ride. I can't wait to see. I feel like the stakes are only building. Getting more. Following these characters more and more down this journey, and siding with one in one situation, and siding with another, siding with sis here or brother there, or and just watching the growth from way back when in issue 1 to now is it's been awesome. So definitely wanted to bring this one up. Joe, I'll start with you. Have you read Kaya? You reading the series at all? Enjoying it?
I haven't, but I should check it out. I guess I will.
Yeah.
I will look into it.
Absolutely. How about you, Robbie?
Well, I'm reading this book, and I'm loving it. I think it's amazing. So amazing, in fact, I have boldly declared, I think it's far enough into it to say that this is kind of up there with Bone to me as like an all ages tale that will stand the test of time. The character development you were talking about. This is something new. It is something different. It is original. Wes Craig's artwork is amazing. His use of space on the page is amazing. And I think, a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, right, about the industry as a whole, once again, as readers, maybe we need to check out books like Kaya more often because it doesn't sell particularly well. But Wes Craig, is doing it because it's a labor of love, and it comes across. It is such an incredibly good book that keeps pushing forward, that keeps reaching higher and higher. And everything that it sets out to do, it does. It is beautiful. It is transfixing. It is such a solid book. And as the only YouTuber that talks about it, I think more of y'all need to really get on board and start shouting out this book.
Heard. Yeah. Thank you for being humble as always, Robbie. Nick, moving on to you, bro. How about you?
I got tired of getting destroyed every time I said I'm not reading this book. So I'm actually on the catch up right now. I'm on issue 7.
Hey,
right now.
Let's go.
I'm working my way up to, catching up when you're 15 down, or what are we, 17, 18? What are we doing now?
We're at 18 now, but it's quick, man.
Every month it gets one more. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I started reading this, so I'm on issue number 7. I'm catching up. I'm enjoying it so far. I like the characters, and he's trying to be something he's not quite just yet. He's got a lot of lessons to learn in life still, and she's got her own demons and battles and relationships she's trying to navigate too. So there's a lot of cool things going on, and there hasn't been a ton of character progression and moments of being brave and stepping up and doing some stuff just yet necessarily. So I'm interested. Every time I hear you guys talk about it, I'm interested to see where the story is going to go, because I like what I'm seeing so far. So yep. Hopefully I'll catch up by next month or whatever it is.
I know you're a loyal fan of this one, bro. Did you enjoy this issue?
Yes, sir. And this was one of my favorite issues of the series. This book or this series may not be the best thing that hits the stands or hits my hands every single week or month, but dude, I think it might be my favorite book that's coming out. I'm just so excited every single time I crack open an issue, and this one in particular, dude, the arc that Kaya, the character, goes through, especially in this issue, to make some really tough decisions and has to do so in the eyes of her brother. Oh man, I'm goosebump inducing, right? I feel it right now just as I'm talking about it and thinking about it. This book is all about character growth, character development, and the journey that they're all taking. And yeah, the comparison to Bone is pitch perfect, right? Because I think this has maybe a weightier tone, right? There's maybe more at stake, but it's still within that same adventurous world, Absolutely. Right? So yeah. I love it. It's just a great book. Perfect.
Oh yeah, well said, man. All right, Greg, ended up with you, bro. Are you reading Kaya? You into this?
I take a little bit of offense to Robbie saying he's the only YouTuber out there talking about Kaya.
Because I say that every month and it's not true. It's just a joke.
With that being said, I have not read this book. And it sounds like I need
This
to.
motherfucker's up. He's signing up. You know.
I need to check it out. So I'm the Nick
man,
now of the
absolutely.
show of I'm not reading this. I
Oh
need to read
God,
it.
I'm so glad there's another Nick here now.
Manny also
cool.
highlights this book often on his
Yeah.
channel.
That's why I
wanna-
don't read it. Okay, that's why.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Then.
It's
I
a
was
matter
like,
of
I
taste.
remember now.
I
This is
remember
what
now
Manny
why
likes.
I'm like,
spite.
on
Got
my
it.
don't read list.
Oh, Lord.
Screw Manny.
Oh man.
That's a great job, Stu. It's easy to like get through it when nobody's read it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Zip right through that one for you guys.
The most controversial people, Joe
Only
and
took
Greg
5
haven't
minutes. Good
read
job.
it. So
I do like this is the 17th episode of the monthly review that we've done in a row, Nick.
I
Right?
know it's crazy.
And I think it's been talked about almost every single month.
Probably, and I got so fucking tired of you guys calling me out. So I'm like, I gotta catch up on this damn book, man.
And
now
I'm
I'm
so
not
glad
gonna
I
read
am,
it
so.
just in defiance now.
Wes
Oh
isn't
yeah, it
taking
is. I'm just
breaks
hate
either.
reading it.
You notice that? Like a lot of image books will like take a hiatus for a couple months or something. Wes doesn't take breaks. He
And I
just
love
keeps going. And
And, like,
every
every
page is
issue,
story and art. Every
Absolutely.
page.
And you
God.
don't know, like, issue to issue, you don't know what kind of story you're gonna get. Like, some of them are such a drastic switch up,
Dude,
or
who expected
on-
the ending of the last issue? I didn't.
yeah,
Like
Mhm.
Jesus
I
Christ,
saw it
man.
coming a mile away.
And see, knowing what I know for the first 7 issues, like I can't even imagine. I can't comprehend how you guys are describing this and being so. I don't know. I can't comprehend the story going in those places, knowing what I know in 7 issues so far. And I like what I'm reading so far. So I'm just like, oh my God, I can't wait for the next 10 because what the hell happened? You guys keep bringing it up. So
Yeah, every arc is a new adventure, and every one of those adventures you meet new people, and the characters just continue to get more and more complex, like a good story should, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely. Fantastic pick, Stu. All right, Joe, you got the reins. What's an ongoing superhero in continuity book you want to talk about?
Funny you should mention that, because what I wanted to lob a grenade into this chat, because last time I was here, we talked about the Amazing Spider-Man issue where they killed Miss Marvel and she clearly stayed dead, and it's been very tragic for all of us. But
still get over it.
we just hit another Spider-Man milestone with Amazing 50 this month. So I think we owe it to the listeners to discuss Amazing Spider-Man 50. I'll
you doing a
start
bit?
since I suggested it.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
I thought Ed McGuinness, great art for a lot of that. I feel like, I don't know, like it's been interesting watching. So for those who are also paying attention to Superman, that you had like Lex and Norman were kind of doing the same, like overlapping a little bit. And then they're still doing really cool stuff with Lex, but then they were kind of like, fuck it, Green Goblin. Bleh. So that's going on now. And spoilers for anyone who wasn't aware. And now we're like kind of superior Spider-Manning again in a way where it's like, whoa, people keep putting chips in my brain and putting other people in them. Why is this a Spider-Man trope? So that kind of stuff is like, I love, and by love I mean hate, because the whole point of Peter Parker for so long was to be like the relatable guy, and then they got completely off the rails. I mean, decades ago at this point, and like never looked back. And we're like, let's make Peter as odd and alienating and make Spider-Man this like impenetrable comic. So that said, again, I thought, Ed McGuinness on the art, it was cool. The story, I guess, and now the Sinister Six are back next month. So like, they're Spider-Man villains, so that makes sense, sure. And I guess we all hate Norman, maybe.
This is really what you're doing for your second pick, Joe?
Yeah, I thought you were.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to break character at some point, but you
No.
Joe
what
has been crapping on all our picks, and he's like ASM.
I'm not picking it as my favorite. I'm picking it as a discussion point, clearly, because I think we owe it to people. So that way it's not like, oh, I love this comic. Did you love it too? I love this comic. So like, forget that. So you know, there were some great splash pages. I think we could all agree there's some good action in Amazing Spider-Man 50. But there's also a story, apparently, I've been told. And I'm not sure where I'm at on that. I guess bad. But like are we gonna get Norman trying to like is this gonna be one of those things where for like the next like year or whatever, it's gonna be people slowly figuring out that Norman's bad or whatever? I don't know. I guess that's exciting. Robbie, what'd you think of Amazing Spider-Man 50?
So I made it through 40 something issues of Zeb Wells' Spider-Man run and finally gave up the Ghost, and then I am a mark for Goblin. I hate Norman Osborn as a good guy. Lex, I can stomach it a little bit, especially when Josh like is doing really good things with that, right?
I think
But,
it
like,
works in that run, yeah.
Yeah, it does. And because he's still Lex, right? But Norman being the good guy, that wasn't Norman, like at all. It seems so weird. Like, and I don't like the idea, like, we could just take his sins away and he's like a fucking good guy. He's the Gold Goblin. That shit was so stupid to me, right? But I did read issue 50 because I knew that the turn had happened in that issue where Norman goes full Goblin again. And man, Ed McGuinness's artwork soared, dude, in that. And we're only talking about the main story. I didn't read any of the fucking backups. I could give a shit, right? But like Ed McGuinness's art was great. I liked seeing Norman as the Goblin again and being fucking crazy. You get to the end, like you said, they kind of do Superior Spider-Man 2.0, but he put the Goblin in his fucking head, which they just fucking did. If you remember, they just did that story. Like, what the fuck? That being said, when I got to the end of the story, I was like, all right, well, the art was great, but it didn't entice me to continue on at all. So I wouldn't say I liked it, but I thought the art was amazing.
The art was really great. Yeah. Just keep going around.
Didn't read it. ASM has been notoriously bad for so long that like I'm not even on the train anymore. Like I don't even. I've gotten shit for it on my reviews because I keep bringing up Ultimate, and they're just like, you're not reading ASM. It's like, yeah, because it's been bad for a long time.
There's a good reason for that.
And like, and you know, there's gonna be people out there that love this issue. And in fact, I had some comments that were like, this issue was great. You did yourself a disservice by not reading it. And I'm like, I'm sure that will happen from time to time. But the overall theme is it sucked for so long. And I go in and I pulse check it, you know, I read an issue and I go, yep, same shit. And I put it down and then I pick up Ultimate and I'm like, well, you know, albeit the last two issues were kind of weak, but like, it's like, there's better ways to handle this.
The issue of Ultimate was good.
It was better than the previous one.
The arc had been better, but
yeah.
It's
I'm comparing
after Chichetto, I think.
I'm comparing it to like issue 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? Like in comparison, there's no comparison.
But when did you get off the Amazing Spider-Man train?
I started reading it when like Red Goblin stuff was coming out. We're talking years ago. And then I started, that was like Spicer, like the Nick Spencer run and stuff.
That's the end of slot.
So you started the end of slot is when you started?
I started around that time through 800. I kept on reading. And then I did some touch bases. I jumped on when JR was jumping back on again. I read a bunch of that stuff. And I'm just like, it's just not great. So then I just fell back off. And then as a community, because we all kind of like watch stuff and we all have similar opinions about stuff because that's how we all connect. It's like none of my peers are enjoying this book either, really. You know, like Herm's enjoying it. So I don't want to say all my peers.
Herm enjoys any fucking Spider-Man book.
Yeah. He's just a mark for that. And we love him for it. But like the overall consensus is it's not great. And even at my shop, when I'm watching people buy the book off the shelf, they're buying it because they're not enjoying the run. They're buying it because they've always bought ASM.
Yeah.
And
it's Marvel's it's one of Marvel's top sellers. They got Disney variants. They don't need the story to be good to sell it.
Exactly.
Right?
It's just got the name now. So it's just like they don't need to. And like I hate it because you're going to get good issues once in a while. But then it's going to be surrounded by dozens of bad ones and it's like Do I want to buy dozens of bad ones to get that one good one? It's like, no, not from a financial standpoint. And I've read too many books to have bad books in my collection. So it's like, I don't know. It's a disservice that I have out there, right? Like I should be reading these kinds of books because they're main characters, but like I don't want to, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Let's keep it going.
Yeah, I
I
have
just
to
want you all
echo,
to just to do it on your own.
like everything that Nick said, like ditto. I'll echo that. Like the only thing I'll add to it really is like in a world where we have Ram V doing an operatic masterpiece in Detective Comics and Chip Zdarsky doing like an action-packed bubblegum kind of like action movie kind of Batman take. Why in the hell can we not get something that is halfway entertaining with ASM? Like I read the first couple arcs and I can count on one hand how many of those issues were good. I didn't enjoy any of them, and I didn't read this. I'm ready to move on.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be honest. Like y'all talking about, like Nick said, like he saw people at his store just like, oh, I gotta get ASM. That's where I'm at with Batman right now, because it's Batman. But no, I did not read this. I have no intention to. I think I started getting back into comics when the pandemic hit. So I don't think ASM's been good since then, from what I've gathered from the community. So I loved the Spider-Man comic and and the cartoon as a kid, so I wanted to hop in. But I think ever since I got back into exploring comics, everyone's like, "Oh, this is garbage." So I haven't explored it at all. So I have no framework for ASM.
Dude, it's a sad state. Spider-Boy is a better book than Amazing Spider-Man.
Dude, and I kind of hate that.
sad if you
Yeah.
think about it.
Like I've gotten to the point myself where I feel like I'm digging my heels in too. Like if something happens with Amazing Spider-Man and it really is good, I might still be in that mentality where I'm like, no, I like you broke my trust at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read it since I've read the last slot run, Go Down Swinging. I enjoyed that, but I really have not been involved with ASM since that. And like, I'm not normally a Spider-Man guy, but I still like. I love the Ultimate Spider-Man run by Bendis. I love a lot of some of Zdarsky's Spectacular Spider-Man. I'm always down for a good Spider-Man book, and
Sure.
Out of continuity, it sounds like.
like yeah, exactly. But no, I'm down. Like if Amazing trends that way, and they put like good people on it and they get something solid established, but it seems like right now it's just like that book more so than others at the House of Ideas seems just like way too many hands on it, editorials all over it. It's just so all over the place. And yeah, like Nick said, I just haven't heard anything good about it in quite a while. So
And even like the ancillary titles like Miles and stuff, like there'll be moments where they're good, but then they're peppered with just garbage as well.
And
So it's just like
consistent.
it's a whole branding thing. Like everything Spider-Verse is just like in the comics, continuity wise, it's just like for me, it's just not clicking. And I wish it was, man, because I wish I could talk about Spider-Man.
no, that's the gift and the curse. I think with these properties or these characters being successful and like on the animated stage and on the and just like I feel like because they know that Miles and Peter are going to be in the public eye so much when it comes to the big screen, those books are just going to be so scatterbrained and all over the place. It's going to be hard to get I don't know, fluid continuity out of those characters and storylines.
I'm coming up with a pitch right now for Amazing Spider-Man. What if they were like animals instead of humans, right? And the Green Goblin's from a cartoon world, right? And
Yeah, imaginations come to life.
Well,
all right,
part of
They
this
all wrestle.
too, though, is we've all, probably everyone on this panel and probably most people in the chat, have spent an embarrassing amount of money on Spider-Man related things over the years, like more money than we probably remember spending between movies and merchandise and comics and everything. I mean,
Guilty.
it's a lot.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. For my final pick, I'm going to go with an Oni Press book that really came out of nowhere and blew me the fuck away this year. And that is, or this month, and that's Toxic Summer, issue number 1. I fucking love this book. Who is the guy who did it? Is it Derek Charm? Is that the name? What's the name? Anybody know who I'm talking about?
I think it's Derek Charm, yeah.
Okay. So it's written and illustrated by the same cat. And it's about these two dudes, these two friends who they go to the beach because they have in this their heads that they're going to go to this person's grandmother's house. They're going to stay on the beach. It's going to be hot boy summer. They're going to hook up. It's going to be big fun times. But when they get to the beach, there's like a toxic waste disaster at the beach, and the beach is closed down, right? So they wind up having to get jobs. They were going to get jobs as lifeguards because they were like, yeah, what better way to pick up hot dudes than to be a lifeguard at the beach, right? But instead, there's nobody at the beach, right? So then there's this other group of people that are there, and they have like some like sexual tension. Like one of the boys is into another boy, and it's kind of that kind of thing. But there's also like, you know, a reason why this toxic sludge is there, and it's spawning these like toxic monsters and shit like that, right? So I love the idea of taking the horror beach party teen sex comedy trope, right? And applying that into something that's really fun, vibrant, and colorful, right? The colors in the book are astounding. The line work is great. The characters, they all read perfectly fine. It's got a great pace to it. It literally blew me away. I fucking loved Toxic Summer, and I'm ready for more of it. Nick, did you check it out?
Did not. You need to do so.
E, did you check it out?
Nope, but I need to do so.
Oh no.
Bearded, did you check it out?
Keep it with the trend. Nope. Wow. But I need to do so.
Do?
Yeah, I don't like
No,
that.
bro, sorry.
But
I'm gonna definitely check it out.
But you
So,
need to do
like,
so.
Bro,
once
you
the
done
show's over,
broken the
once the
train.
show's
God,
over,
dude.
once the show's
We
over,
set it up for
yeah.
you, Stu.
Yeah.
Just
Sorry,
finish
sorry,
it.
guys. Sorry,
You know,
my
like
bad.
me and
My bad.
Damien from Sleepy
My
Reader,
bad.
we bitch a lot about modern comic book coloring. Read Toxic Summer. That's how you fucking do it. It's great. Joe, did you check out Toxic
Yeah.
Summer?
No, I should be at the shops this weekend. I'll probably be able to pick it up then.
We just spent 15 minutes talking about fucking Amazing Spider-Man number 50, and none of y'all read Toxic Summer.
I didn't read ASM.
Yeah, to
so
be
don't
fair,
even
yeah.
get me on that. Listen, none
I
of us
read a
it,
lot
but
of stuff this month.
We spent 15 minutes talking about it that Joe mentioned it, but none of us read it.
Like-
So don't
Yeah.
get mad at us.
I've read 60, 70 books this month, and I haven't
Son
read
of
that
a
one.
bitch. All right. Everybody, you got like 20, 30 seconds to do your rapid
All right.
fire because, you know, we can keep Verno waiting
Yep.
for a couple minutes, but then he's just going to go ahead and get pissed. All right. So, Nick,
Yeah.
the best of the rest. What's your
All right.
rapid fire?
Okay. I'll just do 4 for now. Mark Russell, Death Ratioed issue. It's a one shot, actually.
Yeah.
This one was really, really cool. And it's a shameless plug. We had him on the channel a couple of weeks ago. Stu and Eric and I interviewed him for Traveling to Mars. And if you like Mark, you know, if you're a Mark Russell fan, if you like the satire, if you like, satire layered on top of like the future of social media and how it changes our culture, you're going to love this book. So check that one out. We talked about Corona on Transformers, but he also did a book with Scotty Young called Ain't No Grave this past month. And I just loved the idea of it. It kind of pulled at like the father heartstrings, just seeing how this family has been interrupted. The artwork was great. She's going to take death head on because of the circumstance she's in. I think it was a really cool, impactful book. So you can check that one out. Tom Scioli put out Witchman, this little one shot right here. That was a really cool book. I read it and took it as like a love letter to just classic superhero comics, and like they'll just do whatever they can do to take on the villains and sacrificing their body and mind at the same time. And I just love that one. That was a really good book, well produced. You can check that one out. And we shouted out, I guess I picked this one, Real World with Fantasy Land written on top of it. Something epic. Issue, I don't even know what issue this is. Issue number 10, but this is the second volume. This is a lot more new reader friendly. You don't have to read the first volume to get into this. It helps here and there, but like it's a totally different story and characters and scenario. So this one's handled really, really well. So definitely check out Something Epic if you haven't yet. So I'll leave it with those 4.
You know, I still haven't gotten my fucking Witchman yet. I don't.
He's been mailing them out in waves. I guess I was just wave 1.
Apparently, I'm fucking dead last, brother. Like, I don't like. Maybe you watch one of my videos or something, doesn't like me. I don't fucking know, but I'm dead fucking last.
All the
So
pandering I
I'm
do
still
online.
eagerly awaiting it. I
It's
got the
good.
digital, but I did have
No, the colors
Yeah.
are. It's a whole different experience, obviously.
Okay. E rapid fire. What you got?
All right. I'll start off with Ultimate Black Panther here. This was a super fun issue. I keep talking about this, month over month here. I feel like Brian Edward Hill writes like a director. This had like 5 straight pages, but there was only 3 word balloons on it. Not many writers can pull that kind of thing off and keep you entertained and enticed. This issue was like a Jason Bourne movie. Super, super worth it. A book that I feel like I'm probably the only one reading, but more people should be reading, The Return of Briar. Chris Cantwell is doing awesome things here. I feel like the first 4 issues didn't get a lot of heat behind it. There weren't too many people that were following along, but this was a super fun adventure book. Kind of like lighter in tone. It definitely has like, notes where it's kind of being fun. You can, laugh at it, but it's not afraid to get dark, considering that it's also like a kind of a jaded retelling of Sleeping Beauty. Like, what if she was awakened way later than she should have been? New book that came out this week here, William of Newbury. I enjoyed the heck out of this. This was like Hellboy meets Bone, right? Apparently Bone seems to be like in the zeitgeist, right? Because I feel like we're getting a lot of these types of books here. The artwork was like gritty, textured, all the fun things that you would want from this kind of story, but definitely told in that Mignola way, both verbally and through the pen work. So super fun issue here. And let's finish off with, let's go really complex here. Sacrificers. I feel like of the 2 books that Remender has coming out here on a monthly basis, this is definitely arguably the more thought-provoking book that he's doing right now. I feel like he's not holding your hand. He's definitely not he's not catering anything to you. You can view this book a lot of different ways from a lot of different perspectives, and you're going to come away with a different answer each time that you read it. And I just appreciate that. And then Max's artwork on this too. I'm disheartened that he's leaving. I really hope that they find an artist that's going to hold that same standard. But it's just been a fantastic series so far. So those are my runners.
Yeah, Sacrificers just keeps getting better and better.
It's so good.
What about you, Greg? What do you got for rapid fire?
I love Sacrificers. Great pick, Eric. But I will also throw out another recommender book. Just dropped yesterday. Grommets was fantastic. 1980s skateboarder. I was talking with a friend, like, I'm hesitant on slice of life sometimes because half the time it's like, oh, it's a slice of life book, but now it's a horror, or now it's supernatural, and it just is like kids in the 80s loving skateboarding and punk rock, and like I'm just like, cool, perfect.
You tell me you wouldn't like it better if they were like cuddly teddy bears with like purple gloves or nothing?
Yeah, I would not like that. So no, I thought that was great. Everyone drink, because we're gonna say nostalgia again. Space Ghost. I'm David Pebos issue 1. I really liked it. I don't know much about Space Ghost, but this was a lot of fun. And I thought we mentioned this on the show before. Tim Sheridan's Alan Scott Green Lantern. I thought it was a great wrap up to it. We mentioned how much we liked this book. I thought issue 6 was a great wrap up. And then it's one of those like weird ones because I've read it like 4 years ago when it came out, but now Image is putting it out. But Drawing Blood, Kevin Eastman, David Avalone. It's a lot of fun. Kind of getting not a biographical story of Kevin Eastman, but kind of like loosely tied with some of those. Issue 2 really gets into more of the context of like selling the rights to, the comic that he created and things like that, where the first one's a little bit more into like, oh, I'm dealing with, Russian cocaine dealers and things like this, where this is getting into the comic aspect. I really enjoy it. So I'm excited that other people are getting a chance to read this that didn't get on the Kickstarter back 4 years ago. So that's it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that one too a lot. And Grommets was great. I loved Grommets. What about you, Stu? What do you think? And speaking of Grommets,
Ice Cream Man 39, man. Definitely like decompression storytelling. This fatal car crash between a tractor trailer and the Johnson family, and just this look through the final moments of each member of the family. This family of 4, and we get glimpses of a life lived, glimpses of a life unlived, or yet to be. Definitely the little girl gets the short end of the stick towards the end. She kind of gets stuck in the creepy attic with the Jesus Christ Christ-like ice cream man and the spider, but just another brilliant volume. I can't wait to see how it wraps up from Prince and Marazzo on Ice Cream Man 39. I also just wanted to mention, like what Greg said, dude, DC has 3 killer Green Lantern books on shelves right now, between Jeremy Adams' incredible Hal Jordan Green Lantern story, Philip Kennedy Johnson on Green Lantern War Journal with John Stewart, and the artwork by Hermonico and Montos on both of those books has been phenomenal. And of course, like the one you just mentioned, that Alan Scott story was one I was not checking for, but really blew me away. So I wanted to shout that out. Also, World's Finest continues just to be one of the best books coming out of DC. I love this Jimmy Olsen arc that we're getting here in this last issue. It's just so much fun, man. That book is awesome. I just love it so much. And hold on, there was one other one I wanted to mention. Get Fury #1. The return of Captain Castle from Firebase Valley Forge, dude. I'm here for it. Garth Ennis. I know it's a 3-issue series, but I can't wait to see where it goes in this mission to eliminate Fury before all the secrets spill out to the Viet Cong. So hell yeah, those are my best quick picks.
Good picks, man. What about you, Joe?
Well, obviously, Ice Cream Man as well, but I gotta do Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft #4. I think it was the most recent issue. That's been great. I think it's one of the best things Dynamite's doing. Those Elvira books, like, go back, they're all really good. The David Avalone stuff, it's fantastic. Superman Action Comics, this House of Brainiac stuff, in terms of in continuity superhero stuff, that's like a bigger kind of event thing, that's easily some of the best stuff that's coming out right now. And I will also say, for those, this is more literature related to comics, but the 3rd edition of Classics Illustrated, a cultural history that thoroughly documents the history of Classics Illustrated, goes into a lot of detail, has a very fully annotated appendix there. It's crazy the amount of detail and history in this. This is if you enjoy Classics Illustrated or just want to understand an important part of comics history, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, that's interesting. I definitely got to check that one out. I also, let me echo that Superman Action Comics House of Brainiac, like the chapter 3, I was like, let's move this story along. We all know the Brainiac Queen's coming. Let's just get to it. Then they get to it in Superman issue, I think 14 or something. Bro, what a pitch perfect fucking issue.
So good. The artwork in that was crazy. I was not
expecting the Brainiac Queen to be scary as fuck, dude. And she is, dude. I fucking love it, man. For my rapid fire, Transformers, because it's Transformers. It's awesome. It's great. Devil That Wears My Face, #6, the final issue of the David Pepose Alex Cormack book. Dude, the most intense and insane freaking issue of that series so far. It was freaking gnarly. It was awesome. If you're a horror fan, if you like possession, exorcist type stuff, check it out. Wonder Woman #9. I'm sorry, I got to give Tom King props. I'm really digging his Wonder Woman right now, y'all. And y'all know how I felt about issue #1. But I really liked issue #9. I thought that was really cool. Void Rivals #9. Springer's voice and characterization was top notch. Cobra Commander #5. That's the most threatening, menacing, and scary Cobra Commander's ever been, and I am here for it. Blood Squad 7, issue #1. What if Youngblood continued, right? We had a conversation with Joe Casey, right? Joe Corral. Me and Joe had a conversation with the other Joe, and he's really in for this book. It's great. It was awesome. What if Youngblood, what if you went back and looked at Youngblood 30 years later? What would that be like? That's pretty much what that book is. Ultimate Spider-Man #5. Art step down once again. However, it's unfair to follow up Marco Cicchetto, just like when they put Mike Hawthorne on Batman after Jorge Jimenez. You're doing that dude no favors. You know what I'm saying? But I loved the structure of that, going back and telling the story of this ultimate Harry Osborn. And a major shout out to Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, issue #15, the final issue of a book that means so much to me personally, because it's very representative of an element of my life that I really appreciate. But at the same time, what a brutally honest love story that has so much heart and truth to it. and never skirts away from the tragedy. So I
Did
think
not
Once
get
Upon a
talked
Time
about
could-
enough.
Yeah, that book is fucking amazing. Absolutely amazing. So there you go. That's rapid fire. We, as soon as we wrap up here, me and Stu, and I think Steph is going to be there over at Verno's channel. We're going to be talking about Hostel and Hostel Part 2 by my man Eli Roth. Very excited for that. So check that out. Nick, by the way, links in the description below to all these wonderful gentlemen's channels. Nick, what you got coming up? Who are you? What final thoughts?
The only thing I really want to plug is, like I said before, Stu and Eric and I, we were able to talk to Mark Russell recently about the celebration of Traveling to Mars, which was one of our favorite books that has come out in the last, forever, right? So 11 issues, brilliant story. We had a really great conversation with him, and so remastered and everything. So if you caught the live, we fixed all those issues. So go back and check out the re-recording of it. And it flows so well, and just it was such a great time. And I just want to say thanks to both these guys for helping me put all that together and just being so awesome, man. So appreciate you guys. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's brilliant.
Yeah, great show. Lots of shorts out there across all three channels too. If you don't want to watch it all at once, right? So Eric, final thoughts.
I would argue that everyone should watch all the shorts and the live and the remastered version, but that's just me. I think Nick did a fantastic job kind of coordinating all that stuff, so kudos to you, man. But other than that, new comic book reviews dropping every Monday morning for your viewing pleasure, including some of the stuff that we talked about just today.
Heck yeah. Bearded, final thoughts.
I've literally just shifted to doing straight interviews with comic creators. So 2 weeks ago, I had Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom on the show talking about Minor Threats. Check out that. Jordan Morris, who just did the 2-time Eisner nominated Comic Bubble, was dropped yesterday. And next week, we'll announce it here on Robbie's channel. I got Darcy Van Polgeest is back on the show. We're talking about precious metal.
Nice. Oh yeah, dude.
So if you are curious about that a little bit, that drops on June 5th, as well as the interview. So go check it out and all that. But yeah, I'm just doing a lot of creator interviews at this time.
That's awesome.
Nice. And you're killing it, man. You're slaying it. Precious Metal, by the way,
It's
must
so
read
good.
next week. Must read.
You gotta read. If you loved Wilbert, Precious, get Precious Metal. So good.
Stu, final thoughts.
Yeah, every Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, check out Supreme Clientele with myself and Link. We're breaking down comics, both new releases and the comics of yesteryear. And yeah, shout out to Nick for all the hard work on that Mark Russell interview. We had some streaming issues with Mark way out there in Portland, but Nick did a fantastic job in post-production putting all that together for us. So I definitely wanted to thank him and highlight him.
No,
but that's
absolutely. Joe, thank you so much for being here, man. Final thoughts.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, you can check out more of my stuff next week. I have a 10-pager in the DC Pride, a celebration of Rachel Pollack. So I'm excited for people to check that out. And I should have also plugged what was it, the Archie Judgment Day #1 came out this month. Everyone needs to get in the habit of picking up an Archie horror book. Because in August 14th is my Kardak the Mystic one-shot through Archie. It's a little horror-y, it's a little superhero-y, so I hope people check that out. And I'm definitely going to want to be promoting that on people's channels when that's closer, if that applies to anyone here.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Awesome.
Well, you're not going to get Greg on. You're not going to wind up on Greg's channel after bringing up Amazing Spider-Man #50.
Listen, I've had Joe on before. We can put our differences aside to talk about. Joe writes great comics. He might not have the best opinions on comics, but we can look past that.
I also think you can catch Joe Monday night on our Minority Report movie review. So, right, you're on that one, right, Joe?
Yeah, I'm on that one. I saw that in theaters.
Me too.
Yeah.
Nice. Not New York, though. Not New York. All right.
No.
We really got to get going over to Verno's channel. They're patiently waiting on us right now. Hostel Part 2. Jump over to Blood Splatter Chatter. Join us there. We're dipping out. Great show. Stay